Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising you with new topics every single weekend, jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe this is going to be the final episode of 2023. Absolutely crazy. We started this on July 1st of the year, and as we are now recording this on December 28th, we are on episode 53. Absolutely incredible. A round of applause to everyone who has supported me, all my listeners, and even, you know what, sometimes it's not too bad to hype up yourself. So I'm happy that I was able to do this, really push myself to record and just keep uploading and going through with this. I'm going to have to kind of decide where to bring this next year. I kind of want to level it up. So I don't know when we're going to check in next with episode 54. It'll probably be next week, probably towards like the end of the week, just to kind of go over some things. But I'm going to try and start maybe filming myself, maybe try and add. I was going to do it like, like on some YouTube and Spotify's and even Apple Podcasts. I don't know if it's on a podcast, but it gives like a bar at the bottom where it tells you like what segment you're listening to. I think I'm going to start doing that, like editing that into every episode I do. So just try and level this up. Maybe we'll start posting more on TikTok, on Facebook. We'll see. We're all trying to level up and keep it going. But yes, this is the post-Christmas episode. Very fun. Of course, my episode with my cousin Ryan, the longest one to date, 3 hours and 40 minutes. It's absolutely crazy. RSS podcasting would not let me upload it due to it being too many gigabytes. When I tried to cut it down, I kept doing it wrong or something, and I could not upload it. So the episode is only available on YouTube, which took me so long to even just get it into audio form. It's only a black screen too, but I was able to put a cover photo of us, which I posted on the Instagram. So if you guys want to listen to that, it's 3 hours and 40 minutes, the longest podcast to date, and it was a fun one. We talked about so much NFL. I did my end of the year UFC rank UFC awards. We listed our top 10 Christmas movies. I had him do a blind rank of fast food. I mean, it was such a blast. But I do now know for the future that I will never go over, I believe, 3 hours and 20 minutes or 3 hours and 30 minutes. So that's how long it is. But I've only ever gone over 3 hours twice, and it's actually been on episodes 50 and 52. So we'll try and keep this one not as long, but we'll see how it goes. Of course, I'm going to be doing a little Christmas recap. We're going to be giving our Week 17 NFL predictions, talking a bit about the playoffs, about how our Christmas Day games went. They were pretty hectic. We're going to be doing a little NBA check-in, some other stuff, and the big one to end out the episode, your surprise, is we'll be ranking every single UFC Fight Night event of the year. That is right. We're not doing pay-per-views. We're doing events, and I should actually write it down right now so I remember that for episode 54. We'll be ranking every UFC pay-per-view of ranking every UFC pay-per-view of 2023. So that's going to be a fun one. Rank every pay-per-view in 2023. Yeah, I did that. There's 14 pay-per-views, but there were 29 fight nights. Pretty hectic. It was a struggle to go through with it, but it was kind of fun looking back on them all. We'll get to that later in the episode. I don't really have any new UFC news for you guys. No new fights, no new locations. It was pretty civil in the MMA, UFC worlds just over the weekend. Let me see if I can find anything that occurred for you. I mean, they recently released a picture of Sean Strickland preparing for his fight with Dricus du Plessis, and let me just say, Sean is looking jacked, man. He's been putting in the work. I don't know if he's been juicing, if he's been on a little bulk, but he's been putting in the effort, and man, he really does not like Dricus du Plessis. He really does not at all. It is pretty fascinating seeing all that just animosity around that fight, just seemingly out of nowhere. So it'll be interesting to see how that fight goes down. In the boxing world, Gervonta Davis, one of the best up-and-coming boxers, one of the top ones of the age. I'm trying to pull a little Sonny, was it Sonny List? I don't think his name was Sonny List, but whoever Muhammad Ali's original, or no, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think, or was it Muhammad Ali? I think it was Muhammad Ali. Whoever, it was either Muhammad Ali or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who originally had another name and changed it, but he has changed his name to Abdul Wahid. Don't know why. Gervonta Davis was a pretty cool name. So, yeah, pretty awkward stuff there. Don't really know what to do with that information. I personally wouldn't change my name to that, but then again, there's always reasons for it. And also, Bo Nickel gave his thoughts on Leon Edwards, your current welterweight champion's potential opponents coming into the new year, and obviously the big ones, Hamzat for potential double title stance, and maybe even Islam moving up. And he's basically, Bo Nickel's thoughts were Hamzat Chimaev's wrestling would give Leon Edwards problems, but Leon Edwards' striking would give Islam Makhachev some problems. It'll be interesting to see Bo Nickel fight Cody Brundage at UFC 300. That's going to be a fun one. Love watching Bo Nickel, the former Penn State wrestler, compete. He's always such a fun guy to watch. Go after it. I'm in the movie realm of things. I know it's not Monday, it's actually Thursday, but in my movie realm of things, my most recently watched movie was I watched with my girlfriend last night. It's How to Be Single. Stars Rebel Wilson, of course, Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect. It stars the main girl from the 50 Shades of Grey movies. It stars the one guy that's he stars the one guy in Workaholics that's not the guy with long hair, and not the guy from Pitch Perfect. No, the other guy, I cannot remember his actor's name. But is it Andy or something? I don't know. But it stars the other guy. He's pretty good in it. It stars the girl from Community who's obsessed with Jeff, the brown-haired one, not the blonde, the brown-haired one. It stars her. Who else is there? There's a number of people. It stars Coach from New Girl, if anyone knows that. So there's a lot of people in this movie. Actually, it also stars, oh my gosh, this guy's in almost every movie. He's one of the main voices on Big Mouth, that animated show. He was in How to Be Cops. He was the one, like, crackhead or whatever. Gosh, I'll never remember his name. But yeah, there was a lot of people in it. And it was basically these people navigating the ways of being single, trying to find love. And I thought it was pretty funny. It had some weird messages in it. It took some weird turns, but it was a good movie to watch when you don't really want to watch a masterpiece of a movie. Other than that, not too much. I rewatched Elf again on Christmas with my family. But yeah, actually, that's a good segue into Christmas. Christmas was amazing. Had such a fun time down in Chicago. Arrived Saturday. Car ride went by quick, both down and back. Quick 6 hours. Flies by. Got Culver's both there and back, which I rock with Culver's. I think Culver's is one of my favorite fast food places. We arrived, saw the fam, then we went out to this place called Chaos Brewing or something, and basically, it's just like a restaurant, bar and stuff, but they have old school arcade games, they like racing games, like the kind you see in an arcade or whatever. They had the basketball game, the balls fall down, you just kind of got speed shoot them. They had this old like WWE game, they Guitar Hero, and it was so fun. I enjoyed being there, of course, running up them Captain Cokes, you know how I be. It was a fun time. It's just seeing the family, doing all that. Came back and I passed out. I was so tired. Then I woke up and me and my cousin watched The Meg 2. That's another movie we watched, and The Meg 2 was absolutely terrible. The only good thing about it was Jason Statham and the one black guy. What's his name? DJ, I think, in it. Oh my gosh, he was so funny. Whoever that actor is, absolutely love that guy. I can't even think of another movie he's in. All I can think of is the Meg movies. But yeah, I hope they don't make a Meg 3. It was a disaster. CGI just mess. All plots were just thrown out. All logic was thrown out. But I guess, it is a movie about a giant shark that tries to kill people. What are you gonna do? Saturday, woke up, had a big breakfast, delicious breakfast. My Uncle Gary is an amazing cook. Then went to see my grandma and grandpa, watched the Vikings lose to the Lions, which was heartbreaking. They're a bit older, so it's always nice to see them though. Just talk to them, say hi to them. Not much to do at their house, but it's all about just spending quality time, we'll say. Then we went to my dad's cousins, so my grandma's, so these are my dad's parents, my grandma's aunt's kids, her sister's kids. They're all grown up now, but yeah, it wasn't too bad this year. Usually sometimes I might feel like a little bit of a third wheel, because, it's not really our family's Christmas Eve, but it's kind of theirs. But it was good to see everyone. I had some drinks. I watched the Bears beat the Cardinals, gosh darn. And then I had to watch bits and pieces of the Patriots and Broncos game, which was not terrible, but nothing too exhilarating. Came back, hung out with Ryan and Kevin. I'm trying to think, what did we do Christmas Eve night? I'm trying to Trying to think, did we watch a game? We record the podcast. Yeah, me and Ryan record our podcast. We took up the whole night. Then Christmas Day, woke up, got presents. I mean, I actually got a Lego. I got a Lego yellow Bugatti. Okay, how about that, Andrew Tate? I got a Bugatti. You like that? It's actually going to be fun. I didn't even ask for a Lego. My mom just thought it would be funny to give me one, which I absolutely love. I also got the 48 Laws of Power book. I wanted that book. I've seen clips of it on TikTok. I've seen just stuff about that book. It's a good book. I'll be interested to read it. What else did I get on Christmas? I got a Young LA gym bag, which is very nice. Got a new Proper 12 Irish whiskey shirt. Very much love that. Bunch of gift cards. Yeah, fun stuff all around. Then after that, had a bit of breakfast, kind of went downstairs, tried to upload the podcast. That took up all morning. Then football came on. I think we had Chiefs and Raiders was the first game. Yes, it was. Raiders upset the Chiefs. That was wild. That was a crazy game. Raiders defense was the only good thing about that. Then after that, my other cousins came over, Parker and Morgan, and then their parents, my Aunt Chrissy and Uncle Dan. I think the Eagles and Giants game wasn't on quite yet. We played this fun. What game did we play? Oh, my grandpa gave us our gifts. My grandpa, a big real estate guy, former cop in Chicago, gave us all $113.64 to his 6 grandkids. That's the check he gets, or he gets $700 or something dollars from. He used to live on a farm. Super cool guy, Grandpa Tom Saylor. Check him out on his real estate. Was it Exit Real Estate in Illinois, somewhere in Illinois, Delano. I'm terrible with the places in Illinois compared to Minnesota, but yeah, he splits that up. The money he gets from a farm. He used to live on a farm when he was younger, family farm. He still gets money from it because he's in the name, he's in the will or whatever it is of the farm, and that was pretty fun. And then he gave us all $100 because he is just such an amazing human being. Love that man to death. I wish him nothing but the best in life. Rest in peace to my grandma, his wife. We lost her 8 years ago. So I always think about her around the Christmas time because she always loved Christmas, always loved seeing her over Christmas. It's just one of those things that happens, sometimes the holiday reminds you of someone, which I think it's special. I think it's very special. After that, we then played, oh my gosh, trivia, and my Aunt Chrissy bought over $100 worth of Temu. That's right, the Chinese Amazon Temu gifts. There was so much plastic junk, but I actually rocked with some of the gifts I got. I got a orange juice glass set. It was pretty funny. I got a back scratcher. I won a mug. I mean, I won the most random thing. I actually won some Darth Vader socks and some Brian from Family Guy socks, so I'll probably be rocking those at some point. But after that, watched the Eagles, give it to the Giants. They even benched Tommy DeVito in that game. Had an amazing steak. I don't even know if it was steak or what it was, but it was delicious. I was on buns. It was, oh my gosh, an amazing dinner. Then we played this one game where they have you set up we set up candy and you put marker, tape on different lines, and you roll a can and whatever, one you land in between. You know what I'm saying? You get that. And that was pretty fun. And then our big game we did was there was 13 of us, so there was 13 gift cards, and we all shot ping pong. It was like beer pong, and you shot the pong ball, whatever cup you landed in, you got that gift card in the cup. And I was like, let me show you all how a college student does this. And by the way, I am not the best pong player. I walk up and first time sink it in the very back middle cup. And it was pretty hype. Everyone was going, oh! And I was like, yeah, I can never do that in a real beer pong setting at college if I ever tried to. But it was pretty fun there. Yes, then pretty much chilled, caught some of the, what was the night game? Oh my gosh, what was the night game on freaking Christmas Day? It was all the Ravens and the 49ers. I watched the Ravens destroy the 49ers. Brock Purdy having a terrible, terrible performance. Sam Darnold came in for him. Pretty much, me, Ryan, Kevin, and Parker, we all played a little beer pong. Not with actual beer, but we just played pong in the basement. It was just such a good time. And then me and Ryan, we tried to do a rebuild on Madden 22 with a fantasy draft team, and it went horribly wrong. I think we made the playoffs, but we did not make it very far. It was a disaster, but it was such a good time, such a good trip. Came back home, and I've just been doing my thing here. And now actually tomorrow's my roommate's, my buddy, my Steelers fan, Seth, his 21st, so I'll be going out with him, his cousin, hopefully his brother, maybe some of our other friends. Should be a fun time. Should be a fun time. A Christmas 23, one to remember. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was actually just such good vibes. There wasn't really any really bad times on Christmas at all. Entering the NBA world, as of course we got to do a little NBA check-in. We're not going to do an NHL check-in on this episode, just because I'm going to let the NHL simmer for a bit. So when I check in next week sometime, a lot will have changed. And by the way, it's probably going to be a week between episodes, just as like a what is it? A warning? What am I trying to say? So next weekend, big NFL one, and our final UFC rankings of the year for 2023. Yeah, and then we got 2024 ahead of us. I should do some 2024 predictions. Shoot, I should really do that. Let me actually add that in now. Do 2024 UFC predictions, because I gotta make sure that I do that. If I'm doing recaps, I should do some predictions. In NBA land, Celtics still the number one team in the NBA, number team in the Eastern Conference, which we'll look at first. Eastern Conference, 23-6 on a 3-game win streak, a perfect 14-0 at home. Still, I mean, this Celtics team just continues to do what they do best, and that is win. You just all respect to them. And number 2 is the Milwaukee Bucks, 23-8. Dame and Giannis doing their thing. 1-game win streak, 8-2 though. Their last 10. 76ers in the third, 21-9, coming off a win. They've been how have they been? Not 12-4 at home, not too bad. 16-7 in the conference, and there's a good team. Heat at the number 4 spot, 18-12 record, 7-0 in their division, little 3-game win streak. Magic at the 5th spot, Cavs at the 6th. Knicks, Pacers, Nets, and Bulls all in the middle. But the talk of the NBA, I mean, Hornets 8-game losing streak. They're in 13th at 7-21, but that's not the talk. The talk is the Detroit Pistons, who are 2-28 and set the record their last time out by losing their 27th game in a row. Previous record was 26, held by a couple teams. I think it was held by the 76ers or the Bobcats, one of them. And the Pistons beat it. The Pistons frickin' beat it. 27-game losing streak. I think either tonight or tomorrow. I think it might be tonight. They will look to lose their 27th or their 28th game. So history could potentially be made. Absolutely insane that the Pistons started out 2-1 and have proceeded to lose 27 games since then. That is a weird thought. Checking out the Western Conference, Timberwolves, still the best team in the Western Conference, 22-7 record. They did lose to the Thunder, who are the number 2 seed at 20-9. So we don't really like that. We don't like that at all. But man, they still continue to do their thing. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, absolute studs. Number 3 seed, the Nuggets, 22-10 in the West. 5-game win streak for them. Been doing pretty freaking good, I won't lie. 12-2 at home. Can't really beat that. Clippers finally finding their footing, our 4th seed, 18-12 record, coming off of a win. Kings and Mavericks at the 5th and the 6th. They both lost their last game out. Pelicans, Rockets, Lakers, Suns, all kind of in the middle. And your bottom 5 teams, the Warriors, are 15-15. Actually had a good game against, who did they play? They played the Nuggets. They had an absolute heater of a game against the Nuggets on Christmas Day. That was a pretty fun game. But bottom of the pack, worst team in the West, the Spurs. 5-game losing streak, 1-9 their last 10, are 4-25. The only reason the Spurs aren't the worst team is because the Pistons exist. We got a long way to go, though, in the NBA season. So maybe we'll give it a bit of a rest, checking in every single week. But I did see that the Wild are actually playing today. And how about Connor Bedard's Michigan goal? What was that on? Christmas, not Christmas Eve, but the day before that. Absolutely. Actually, might have been on Christmas Eve. I don't know, but it was absolutely incredible. Wrapped the puck around from the back and stuck it in the top. I absolutely love that. Connor Bedard, future star in the NHL. He could potentially be the greatest player of all time. He's still got a long way to go, but he's young. He's actually my cousin's age. He's 18. Absolutely. What a stud. Just what a stud. Good for the Blackhawks. Blackhawks have been struggling for a while now. To round out our little, I don't even know what this is, an intro, just talking about random stuff. It basically is the intro. Before I get into the main subject of what we talk about. ESPN released their 2023 Professional Wrestling Awards. Former big professional wrestling fan. I occasionally check in, and I find it always interesting to see who's doing good in WWE and just the wrestling world in general. So The men's wrestler of the year was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has been an absolute stud in the WWE since coming over from last year. Absolutely love watching him perform. He's completely turned his career around. I mean, you go back to 2012, 2011, and 2010, 2009, and you just look at how he was back then to how he is now. Dude has completely turned his career around. He is an absolute stud. Women's Wrestler of the Year, Rhea Ripley. Yeah, I know she's been a big deal in the women's realm for a while now. Good for her. Tag team is FTR. They wrestle in AEW. They had a brief stint in the WWE for a while. They were kind of buried, though, in the WWE, but they're studs in the AEW, which is a rival wrestling promotion. Debut/return of the year goes to CM Punk, his return to WWE, one of the biggest crowd pops of all time. So excited to see him compete soon. CM Punk, absolutely miss that guy, and he'll probably be main eventing one of the WrestleManias. Gotta love CM Punk. Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, LA Knight. Yeah, he's become an absolute stud in the WWE. He's kind of just a mid-level fighter last year, but his work on the mic, connecting with the fans, it boosted him to getting a main eventing. I believe it was Crown Jewel against Roman Reigns. Gotta love LA Knight. Big things that come for him in 2024. Promo Artist of the Year goes to MJF in AEW. I mean, this guy's an absolute stud. He knows the business. He's great at it. All respect to MJF. I wish he would come to the WWE, but I don't know if his vulgarity, because he cusses a lot, he says a lot of bad things, he messes with fans, which is it's all off script too, by the way. I mean, I don't know if that would fly in the WWE, but he's a star in AEW. I say you continue to rule your promotion, and then, because right now is not a good time for MJF to come over. You got CM Punk, you got Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. I mean, you got to wait till there's a big spot to fill for him to slide in. What is this? The match of the year was Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, and it was a tie for their first and second bouts. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, both big in the Japanese scene, AEW, Ring of Honor. Those two guys are absolute studs. Kenny Omega, kind of getting older, but Will Ospreay, one of the young up-and-comers. Love to see those guys in the WWE someday. They are both super talented, super athletic, but they can also be up to love. I remember I watched Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho highlights of a match they did in Japan. Absolute studs. Pay-per-view of the year, WrestleMania 39. I mean, WrestleMania I don't think people understand how big WrestleMania is, especially this upcoming one, which could be WrestleMania 40, and they do 2 nights now. They do a Saturday and a Sunday event. I don't think they understand how big it is. It's bigger than any professional sporting events. It gets more views than the Super Bowl, if you want to know that, because it's worldwide global impact. And I think the only thing that might be bigger than WrestleMania, and I'm not even kidding with you, could potentially be the World Cup. And they would have to analyze like championship games to just all the games in general, or even the Olympics. And I'm talking just views in general. WrestleMania is just so big. I think people underestimate just the global scale of professional wrestling has on the world, which is absolutely amazing. And storyline of the year was the final award, and it went to the Bloodline. Of course, Roman Reigns, the Usos, you had Kenny Omega getting in the mix. So many guys. Roman Reigns is the hottest thing in wrestling right now. That's crazy. It was back in 2014, actually not 2014, it was 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, though that stretch, they tried to make Roman Reigns a hero, and the push was terrible. They could not get him. Then they tried to make him a villain. Didn't really work out too well. And then these last few years, he's just come in and just been the top guy, and it's absolutely amazing to see. He's been an absolute stud, and I wish him nothing but the best. I honestly wish Roman Reigns nothing but the best. His reign is probably coming to an end at WrestleMania 40, but we'll have to see what happens. Fun stuff in all sorts of the world. Fun stuff in Christmas, fun stuff in WWE, professional wrestling, NBA, the movie world, just everything is just so fun. Everything's so fun. Life is fun. How about that? What a bold statement to have. Let's get into one of our 2 big things. I have no idea how long it's going to take to rank every UFC Fight Night event, because I'm going to have to break down 29 events. So let's do our Week 17 NFL predictions. Of course, the Christmas games we didn't really cover on the last episode because we couldn't. But yeah, if you didn't know, Raiders upset the Chiefs. Giants got handled by the Eagles, and the 49ers got blown out. Not really blown out, but they were kind of blown out by the Ravens. It wasn't really a score blowout, but it was kind of just like watching the game. You just saw that the Ravens were just a better team. I needed some more points from Gus Edwards, but I made the championship in 2 of my leagues. Actually, this Sunday, I will know for sure if I win one of my leagues, and then I'll know next Sunday if I win another one of my leagues. And the other one that I'll find out in Week 18 is for $200. So we'll be really hoping we win that. We'll talk about all my fantasy teams, and actually, once the season's over, I'll do an end-of-year fantasy review. End-of-year fantasy. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to write this all down. I like how I take notes live on the podcast. Sorry if you think this isn't professional enough, because it's not really professional. I try sometimes to be professional, but at the same time, being authentic is what's best. Let's get into it, as we got some fun matchups this week. We kick off our slate, of course, with the Jets and the Browns going down on tonight. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying. The game goes down tonight. Jets will be visiting the Browns. Man, good must win for the Browns here, as they look to clinch a playoff spot with a win, I believe. I believe that is what's going to be going down. Browns are currently second in the AFC North. 3-game win streak for the Browns, coming off of a good one last weekend. Amari Cooper putting up 51 fantasy points as the Browns beat the Texans. I thought the Texans were better than they are, but hey, that's just the sports, I guess. Joe Flacco's been an absolute stud. Jerome Ford also having a nice little performance. But yeah, Amari Cooper's been absolute stud. Jets 6-9 did pick up a win last week. We're able to get a win over the Commanders, not to anyone's surprise. They actually have a positive. Oh wait, they don't have a positive point differential now. Only 231 points for. One of the worst offenses in the league, but not actually the worst. So I mean, you gotta find some positives, I suppose. But yeah, 6-9, gonna miss the playoffs. Yeah, there's no way they can. Yeah, they cannot make the playoffs. At least I don't think they might not be actually fully eliminated. If they would need the Texans, Colts. Yeah, they would eliminate. I don't know what I'm saying. Jets actually are starting Trevor Siemian, so there's no hype for this game. Probably going to be a boring game to watch anyways, but you know what? I'm picking the Browns in this one. I think their defense is just better. I think the offense will do better. If you're beating the Texans, you should probably beat the Jets. But I do think the Jets secondary will give some issues to the wide receivers, so you could be seeing some more leaning on Jerome Ford or who's Kareem Hunt? Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt. I can't believe Jerome Ford has kind of become a stud this year. Very kudos to him, man. Kudos to Jerome Ford. Yeah, we'll lock in that Browns pick right now. I should actually send that to my picks league now that I think about it. Heading into Saturday, we actually do get a Saturday game. What is it? December 30th, because Christmas Eve is all of our games, which is absolutely exhilarating, including the final game of Sunday is the Vikings. But Sunday, no, not Sunday. I just said what game was on, that we were going to have a Saturday game, and I went Sunday. Wow, I gotta really assess how I speak sometimes. I do speak before I think. It's a bad habit since I was young. But Saturday, we do get a night game at 7 o'clock, 7:15, as the Lions will visit the Cowboys. You can already jot this down, as my pick is the Cowboys. I am upset the Lions lost. I really am. I actually am. But actually, I'm going to be honest. I'm pissed about that. I'm absolutely pissed that the Vikings lost that game. We performed so well. We gave it our all. We had spirit. We had hope. We had all the Christmas joy, and we freaking lost. It was very sad, but my main reason that I'm rocking with the Cowboys is that no matter how win-lose the Cowboys and Lions are, the Cowboys are undefeated at home, and I do not think the Lions are going to snap that streak. Cowboys, a perfect 7-0 at home. They are on a 2-game losing streak, though. That has been certainly something that I will say is a bit surprising. But the weird thing is I predicted them to lose the last 2 weeks. I knew they would lose to the Dolphins. I knew they would lose to the Bills, but I do think that they'll beat the Lions. Talk about a tough stretch. They've been playing some tough teams, but I mean, Dak Prescott, top 5 QB, gotta be in the MVP conversation, or maybe just because of how good the Ravens have been. Lamar's probably in the front, but Dak's gotta be in the conversation. CeeDee Lamb, a top 5, top 3 wide receiver on the year. Absolutely amazing stuff from him. I've loved what I've seen. And just the defense, excellent defense for the Cowboys. 10-5 record with 451 points for. Do they have the best offense in the league? No, second best offense in the league. And 286 points allowed. One of the best defenses in the league, too. As for the Lions, best team in the NFC North, they've clinched the NFC North. 11-4 record, 5-2 at home, 6-2 away. They've been even everywhere they go. 412 points for, so they are in the 400 club. They have allowed 355 points, but I will say the defense didn't look too hot against the Vikings. It was just Nick Mullins making 4 terrible errors with his picks. One wasn't really his fault. One got tipped, but other than that, Lions defense decent as they are. 2-game win streak for them, but I just think that the Cowboys at home this year are a different breed, so we'll take Cowboys over the Lions. Kicking off our Sunday slate, we get some 12 o'clock games. Actually, let me just double check how many 12 o'clock games we have. Up until the Steelers and Seahawks are 12 o'clock games. Okay. So, kicking off our noon slate, that is, the Patriots will be visiting the Bills. This is actually a rematch, if no one is aware. Earlier in the season, what week was that? October 22nd. I don't know what week that was. That was, it's not even telling me the week. Okay, but the Patriots beat the Bills at home 29-25 in a stunning upset. Mac Jones balled out in that game. The defense came up big. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I don't think it's going to happen this time. The Patriots are they're not good. They did win. I will say pull off a win over the Broncos, but that's the Broncos, right? You're 4-11. They're 1-7 at home, 3-4 on the road. So I guess that does benefit the Patriots. That's actually fine. Their only win at home is over the Bills. But yeah, there's just no studs on this team. Rondre Stevenson's out for the year. So any Ezekiel Elliott fantasy owners, this is a blessing for you. But yeah, this should be a win for the Bills. Bills are 9-6, 3-game win streak, 6-2 at home. 403 points for. They're in the 400 club, and 276 points allowed. They're yet to give up 300. That tells me they're a pretty good team overall. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Josh Allen performs. Maybe Stephon Diggs will have a good game. James Cook has actually been doing very well. But yeah, we'll ride with the Bills in this one. Keeping us moving along, our second game of Sunday will be the Falcons visiting the Bears. And this is crazy, as I'm not really a huge Bears fan, but I picked them. I picked them last week. It's paid off, and Bears are still alive in the playoff race. I have no idea how, but somehow the Bears are still alive. 6-9 record, bottom of the NFC North. 314 points for, 345 points against. They have fixed their ratio. It was worse before, to only minus 31 point differential. Better at home, 4-3 at home, 2-6 on the road, but a big win over the Cardinals. Big win over the Cardinals for the momentum boost. It won't be easy playing this Falcons team. Falcons are second in the AFC South, coming off of a win, but the Falcons have been 2-5 on the road. It's been kind of shaky in the NFC South. The Bears, but you know what? I'm going to ride with the Bears. Justin Fields been doing decent. DJ Moore, if he plays, will be good. Cole Kmet's an absolute stud. And even, Khalil Herbert or Rashawn Johnson can get hot and tear up the backfield. And the Falcons, you know what? Got the win. I cannot believe it. Falcons blew out. Didn't they play the Saints? No, it wasn't the Saints. The Colts. They played the Colts, who they beat them 29-10. Was absolutely shocked by that. 7-8, of course, minus 1 point differential. So that's, talk about an even team. 288 points allowed, 287 points for. I mean, pretty good defense. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good defense. Offense has been shaky all season. I'll say usually when they lean on Bijan Robinson, they do well, but when they try and split between him and Algier, it's not too hot. And I do play Drake London in fantasy, so I will be rooting for the Bears in this one. Bears defense, I actually think I might play you in a league. We'll review my fantasy teams before we are done. Next game up, the Raiders visit the Colts. This is a tough one. Let me just tell you, this is a super tough one because Raiders have been hot. Raiders have been very hot right now. They're still alive in the playoffs. They're 7-8, little 2-game win streak in the AFC West. Only a minus 9-point differential right now. They have very much fixed that. 2-5 on the road is not too good. Not too good. I mean, this defense has just been an absolute stud. They destroyed the Chiefs, got 2 defensive touchdowns. Aiden O'Connell hasn't been playing terrible, but he's still Aiden O'Connell. Zahir White has been doing great with Josh Jacobs out. I will say that Devontae Adams has not been doing very well. Jacoby Myers been getting a couple more catches. It'll be interesting, very interesting to see how they perform. The Colts, by the way, I mean, talk about a team that's up and down, are currently in the playoffs. So your 8-7 Colts, who are second in the AFC South, tied, 3-way tie for top of the AFC South, record-wise at the moment. With a minus, I think it is 18-point differential. Coming off of a tough loss to the Falcons. They're 3-4 at home. It's going to be It's going to be a very interesting matchup. Raiders don't do well on the road. The Colts haven't proven to be better for worse at home. But I just think of just how win-loss, a lot of these teams have been, that I'm just going to go with the Colts. And by the way, who's been playing better? The Raiders have been playing better. But just for sheer, I'm just going to do it to do it, I'm going to pick the Colts to win this game and to stay in the playoffs. Now, if they lose this game, I mean, that really complicates things, especially depending how the Jaguars and Texans play, because that division's still up for grabs in the AFC South. The AFC West is oddly still up for grabs, so this is a must-win for the Raiders, must-win for the Colts. That makes for some great TV, but we'll pick Colts for now. I'll post something if I change anything. Rams will visit the Giants in another matchup. It's been pretty conference-wise so far up until this point, according to matchups. But the Rams, 8-7, are in the playoffs. I think they're the 6th seed right now in the NFC. Man, you know what? Their offense has just kind of brought back this team. They're on a 2-game win streak, plus 25-point differential, 5-3 at home, 3-4 on the road. I mean, Cooper Kupp's been a stud, Puka Nakua's been a stud, Karen Williams has been a stud, and Matt Stafford has been playing half bad of ball. I've been liking what I've been seeing from him. Pretty good. Actually, he hasn't been putting up awful fantasy numbers. He's been a very average fantasy QB, but I like to see it from Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is one of the good guys. He's a good family man. His wife battling cancer, Matt Stafford, always going to root for that guy. Checking in with their opponents, the Giants. Oh boy, where do we begin with the Giants? 5-10, 2-game losing streak. They benched Tommy DeVito, brought in Tyrod Taylor. Giants are 3-3 at home, better than their away record, which is 2-7. But I mean, this offense has put up 214 points, second worst offense in the league, giving up 371 points. Oof. My goodness, so what is that? A minus 57-point differential. Yeah, give me the Rams. Often they've been cooking. Giants have been failing. But this could be one of those scenarios where a West Coast team visits an East Coast team. Maybe the weather messes them up. I don't know, but I like the Giants better in prime time, like on a Monday or Thursday, than I do on a casual Sunday game. Very big one in the NFC South, as the Saints will visit the Buccaneers. And oh man, these two teams played, how long ago was it? I mean, I always forget when the divisional teams usually play each other. It was early, yes. It was actually my birthday. How about that? Buccaneers won 26-9 in New Orleans, so that's pretty notable. But it just looks like teams have been splitting all year. That's just how it's appeared to me. As I don't really know what to really say about this one. Both teams have been pretty lose to some teams, beat other teams, but the Buccaneers are hot. 4-game win streak, now up to plus 24-point differential. But it's just tough to say. It's tough to say how they're gonna do. I just feel like the Bucs are a better team. Saints 7-8 coming off of a loss. Of course, that loss was to the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Saints have been 3-5 on the road. Oh, gosh, I don't know. I have the Buccaneers right now. Something tells me Saints. Something's really telling me Saints. I don't know why. I feel like I should trust that, saying I should go with the Saints. I mean, Saints have a plus 34-point differential. Buccaneers have won some close games, lost some close games. Who'd the Buccaneers beat last week? Buccaneers beat the Jaguars. Oh, that is why I'm riding with them. Frick, they're hot right now. Man, I don't know. Do we think the Buccaneers win the series over the Saints? Oh, no. They are in Tampa. I do think that benefits them. So yeah, we'll stick with our Buccaneers pick. I'm going with the Bucs, but that should be a very, very close one. Am I rooting for anyone in that? I don't know. We'll review fantasy later on. Keeping us moving with our noon o'clock games. 49ers visit the Commanders. I mean, do I even have to mention this? Do I even have to talk about this matchup? I mean, 49ers, 11-4, second best team in the NFC. Took an absolute L against the Ravens. But other than that, 5-2 at home, 6-2 on the road. 444 points put up, only 267 allowed. This is still a good team, and they're playing the worst defense in the league. The Commanders, who've given up 453 points. That's absurd. Commanders have only won one game at home. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They benched Sam Howell last week for Jacoby Brissett. Give me the 49ers. A rebound game for Brock Purdy. Hopefully, they should start Brock Purdy. They really should. And Christian McCaffrey, do yo thing in the fantasy playoffs, please. No, please, I actually beg you, Christian. I want to win $200. Battle of the Beasts. And, nope, still, oh my gosh, how many 3:30 games are there? There's only 1, 2, 3. There's only 3:30 games. How about that? Wow, a lot of noon games. A lot of noon games on Christmas Eve. They must be like, a lot of the players must be like, oh, we want to go out and party the rest of the night. So they're like, yeah, okay, we'll let you fly back to wherever you're from. Panthers visit the Jaguars, and this is such a blessing for the Jaguars as they have been struggling. They were ranked as the team most likely to clinch their division. Jaguars now on a 4-game losing streak, 3-5 at home. Minus 12-point differential now, 8-7. They're now tied with the Colts and Texans for the top of the AFC South. The only thing benefiting the Jaguars right now, I'm pretty sure, is that, wait, how did they do in their divisional games? Let me double check this. They beat the Texans, beat the Titans, beat the Colts. Wow, they lost to the Texans. So they split with the Texans. That's notable. They won the series over the Colts. That's all that matters. So the Colts one doesn't matter. They will win a tiebreaker with the Colts because they've beaten the Colts twice. But as for the Texans, they split, so it will then come down to, I'm pretty sure, point differential. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see how it plays out. This is such a blessing for Trevor Lawrence. I hope Trevor Lawrence plays. I really hope Trevor Lawrence plays. I need him in fantasy. Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, really rooting for those guys. But man, as for the Panthers, I mean, it has been the worst season. Worst team in the NFL. They are the worst team in the NFL. 2-13, 381 points allowed, only 236 scored. 0-8 on the road. Man, it has been tough to be a Panthers fan this season. Just kind of look on to the next. Hopefully, pick up someone in the draft. Do something with your team. I don't know. Easy Jaguars lock for me. There's no way. There's just no way. The Panthers have yet to win on the road. But then again, you know what? Jaguars are on a 4-game losing streak. Now's your chance to capitalize, Panthers. Play spoiler, okay? But, Bears fans are really rooting for the Panthers to lose out because if the Panthers win 2 games and the Cardinals don't win anymore, Cardinals get the number 1 pick. So it's all pretty interesting. Dolphins play the Ravens in what honestly is probably the best noon game, one of the best games of the week, and this one has me really torn. This one has me super, super torn because these are the top 2 teams in the AFC. These are the top 2 teams in the AFC. One of the probably 2 of the top in the NFL. Ravens are 12-3, 5-game win streak. 5-2 at home, 7-1 on the road. I mean, 417 points for, 244 points given up. Just amazing. And the win over the 49ers has their confidence at an all-time high. Now, the number 1 defense will now be playing the number 1 offense. 463 points put up for this Dolphins team. 314 allowed. I mean, their defense hasn't been doing too bad. Dolphins are 7-1 at home. A notable 4-3 on the road. They are on a little 2-game win streak. I'm hoping Tyreek Hill plays. I'll be rooting. I don't know if Raheem Mostert's playing. I think Raheem Mostert might actually be out for this matchup. As for the Ravens, Isaiah Likely, do your thing. Gus Edwards, Lamar might be your MVP. We're going to go with Ravens in this one, but I do think this will be a closer game. This should be a shootout. This will be a big test because this defense for the Ravens offense was able to get past the 49ers defense. Now you got to get past the Dolphins defense. Another test, and this could be a future playoff matchup as both teams will be making the 2023 to 2024 playoffs. Final noon o'clock game is the Titans visit the Texans, and we get a rematch so soon. I can't believe we get such a soon rematch. These two literally just played, I'm pretty sure, what was it, week 15? Week 15, was it? Texans and Titans played in Tennessee. Titans won on a game-winning field goal, or the Texans won? Texans won on a game-winning field goal. Now we visit Houston Texans, for this matchup in the AFC South. Titans 5-10, 1-6 on the road. I mean, 2-game losing streak. It's been a bad season for the Titans. They don't know to play Will Levis. They don't know to play Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry, they don't know what to do with him. I mean, it's a mess in Tennessee. Houston, they've been working with what they can, 8-7, minus 3-point differential, coming off of a loss, but they did have Case Keenum behind the helm. I did see that C.J. Stroud had cleared concussion protocol. I hope he can play. I am picking the Texans, but if C.J. Stroud doesn't play, I will switch to the Titans. But yeah, we're riding with the Texans. I don't know if I confused everyone. A lot of T's, a lot of Texans, Titans, a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, we'll be picking the Texans in this one as they look to make the playoffs. You know, they're not in now, but I mean, Colts lose, Jaguars lose. Hey, you guys could sneak on in. Heading into our 3:30 games, kicking off the Steelers visit the Seahawks. And I mean, oh my gosh, can you believe this? The Steelers still alive in the playoff race, 8-7. They blew out the Bengals. I was watching that game. I'm just like, what? George Pickens drops 35 fantasy points. They were up, like 21-0 at some point. Have a game, Mason Rudolph. My goodness, the defense was really the focal point of this whole thing. They do have an absolutely atrocious minus 34-point differential. 5-4 at home, 3-3 on the road. Steelers have just been, I don't know, they've been a bad team this year, but you know what? They can still make the playoffs if they win here. But it won't be easy. It will not be easy for the Steelers team as they visit the Seahawks, who have been pretty good at home. 5-2 at home, 8-7. They're currently in the playoffs. Do have a minus 32-point differential, which isn't too good. But they're on a little 2-game win streak, been doing their thing. Give me the Seahawks. And just because of how good they've been at home, they have so much momentum. They have so much momentum right now. Let me just say that. Wins over the Eagles, wins over the Who'd they play last week? The Seahawks played the Titans. Good win for them. Gritty win, I'll say. You know what? Some teams just refuse to go away easily. But you know what? Seahawks, look forward towards the playoffs. Geno or Drew Lock, whoever you ride with. Just don't pass the DK Metcalf. That's all I'm going to say. Don't pass the DK or run it with Kenneth. Because I think I play one of them. I don't know. I know they are on my team. I got tired of locking on my bench in a league. Maybe I could start them. I doubt I will. I honestly doubt I will. Second 3:30 game, Chargers visit the Broncos. I mean, an AFC West matchup here. There are some stakes in this one, though. There are some stakes. Obviously, Chargers are eliminated, 5-10. Minus 44-point differential, 3-game losing streak. Brandon Staley has got to go. He won't be around much longer. They haven't fired him yet, right? I don't think they fired him yet. I can't recall. Or did they? Who cares? I can't remember. But Broncos are still alive in the playoff race despite losing their last two, 7-8. They could even win the division, which is a wild thought, as the Broncos and Raiders have split with the Chiefs. Minus 50-point differential, though. You know what? Just give me the Broncos still. Chargers are just, I just can't pick them. I just cannot pick the Chargers, okay? And the Broncos, I just know they're good. But, they did start Jeff Stidham. All right, so it's Jeff Stidham versus Easton Stick. And Easton Stick almost beat Josh Allen, but you know what, Jeff? I'm riding with you, Jeff Stidham. Pass to Cortland Sutton, why don't you? How about you do that? Final 3:30 game, second to last game of the week 17 of Sunday, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, too many Eves. Bengals visit the Chiefs, and this was supposed to be battle of the two best teams back when you started the season. You thought Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes, so the number one seed. No, no. The Bengals are 8-7, not in the playoffs. Minus 30, or what is it? Minus 27-point differential. 5-3 at home, 3-4 on the road, coming off of a bad loss to the Steelers. Man, oh man, they're still playoff eligible somehow, but I don't see them winning. But you know what? This is the time to beat the Chiefs if you're the Bengals. Chiefs are 9-6. 333 points for, 265 points against. I'll point out the 265 points against. They've given up a lot of defensive touchdowns. The defense has been pretty good for the Chiefs. Offense not what it's used to be. Chiefs will make the playoffs. All right, Chiefs will make the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, but something's up. I don't know. Maybe if we can get playoff Mahomes, but usually Patrick Mahomes is undefeated in December, and so far it's been pretty rough going for him. Travis Kelce needs to lock in. Let me tell you that. Rashee Rice. Pass the Rashee Rice. You know, if anything goes bad, just pass the Rashee Rice. And I hope Isaiah Pacheco plays. I really do. Hope Joe Mixon has a good game. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. Just because it's, you know what? After seeing both teams perform, you know, the Bengals just kind of looked lost. And, you know, I have no idea. Chiefs it is. Heading into our final game of Week 17. Wow, they love me. NFL loves me, ladies and gentlemen, as my Minnesota Vikings will host the Green Bay Packers. That's right. We are both 7-8, second and third. We're second there, third in the NFC North. I mean, similar seasons. I mean, we've just both been hit with some rough patches. We have a plus 15 point differential. They have a plus 2. I won't lie. Vikings are 2-5 at home, which is absolutely terrible. Packers are 3-5 on the road. Vikings on a 2-game losing streak. Packers coming off of a win. Be that it was to the Panthers by 3 points. I mean, that's nothing to flex about. But obviously I'm picking the Vikings, but this is so crucial to us making the playoffs. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll be rooting for the Vikings. It's the final game of New Year's Eve. This is how we're going to ring in the new year with a Vikings win. Come on, boys. Pass to Justin Jefferson. Man, I just don't know what to do, boys. We've just had so bad this year. We've split with the Bears, might split with the Packers, hopefully can split with the Lions. I have no idea what's going to go on. But actually, this game will determine if we play our starters against the Lions. Let me just say that. But yeah, Vikings prediction. For me, Vikings fan, Packers hater, I need Justin Jefferson to go off. Let's recap them all. Browns over Jets, Cowboys over Lions, Bills over Patriots, Bears over Falcons, Colts over Raiders, Rams over Giants, Eagles over Cardinals, Buccaneers over Saints, 49ers over Commanders, Jaguars over Panthers, Ravens over Dolphins, Texans over Titans, Seahawks over Steelers, Broncos over Chargers, Chiefs over Bengals, and Vikings over Packers. I picked way too many home teams, though some of those aren't going to be correct. But I don't know which one's to switch. So one week I should just flip a coin. I'll flip a coin, and whoever it lands on will be who I pick. But as for now, we'll ride with those. Jets and Browns goes down tonight, and I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I might just have it up on my phone, just casually checking on the game, but I'm not really going to pay it much attention. I could care less. But let's talk about fantasy football real quick before I dive into what we all came here to listen to. Maybe you like football, maybe you like UFC, I don't know, but we will be ranking every single UFC Fight Night event, so that's making every event that wasn't a pay-per-view basically in 2023. But as for fantasy football, I'm in the championship in 2 leagues. In 1 league, I played my boy Landon. We were the number 1 and number 2 seeds. It's only fitting we meet here. This was his first year ever doing fantasy football, so big shout out to him. I did start out this league. I was the number 1 team. What I finished with 10-4 record in the playoffs. I mean, it was kind of a grind. I beat my one opponent by 23. Oh, so I just had 1 matchup in the playoffs. I didn't even realize that, but my bad. But the team, this matchup, I mean, I got Jalen Hurts. He's got Dak Prescott. Pretty even. I've got David Montgomery. He's got Gus Edwards. That's also somewhat even. I'd maybe lean more towards David. Pacheco and Gibson. I have Pacheco. He's questionable. All right, my backup running backs. Ty Algier, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I really, really hope that he plays. He's got Antonio Gibson, though, so I'm hoping that Brian Robinson Jr. plays. I've got Justin Jefferson. He's got T. Higgins. We'll see what happens there. I've got Calvin Ridley. He's got Drake London. I mean, it's hard to tell with some of those guys. Now, he does have Darren Waller. I have Isaiah Likely. I don't know what to expect from Darren Waller when it comes his game against the Rams, but I am hoping Isaiah Likely can capitalize against the Dolphins. Flex, I've got Devontae Smith. He's got Jerry Jeudy. I am fairly confident in Devontae Smith. If I'm being honest, I'm fairly confident in that. He's got the Jets D, which is number 5 D. I've got Ravens, which is number 1. And he's got Jake Moody, who has been kind of doing well for the 49ers. So 6-10, 4-6, 7-9, 10 games. But I do have the number one kicker in fantasy, Brandon Aubrey. He's been doing pretty good this year. I'll be interesting to see how this goes. He does have Jamar Chase and Cortland Sutton on his bench. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, we're just gonna let that sit there for now. I don't know what he's thinking there. I'll be quiet. Hopefully he doesn't change out anything. My other league, I'm in the championship in my 10-man, $20 buy-in. My cousin invited me. It was with all of his friends, and now I'm in the championship for $200. Might I add you, this is going to be an absolute heater. It's a 2-week thing, week 17 and 18 combined. So this first week, is all about getting up a big league. And let me tell you, in my first round, I put up a 75, 76-point lead in the first week, and it was so crucial to me winning in the second. I've got Trevor Lawrence. He's got Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield's been the number one QB in fantasy the last 3 weeks, so I'm a little nervous there. If Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, though, I got to throw in Jaron Hall, my boy from Minnesota. It's only fitting. He has Brian Robinson. I have Christian McCaffrey. All right, I got Christian McCaffrey, so that's a dub right there. He has Jameer. I have Joe Mixon. That's a little scary with Jameer Gibson. I have T. Higgins. He has CeeDee Lamb. Oh, I'm playing T. Higgins and have T. Higgins. I don't know what to do, though, because I put in Jordan Addison. Actually, he has Cortland Sutton, too. I'm talking about Landon, by the way. So, yeah, I play CeeDee Lamb. Oh, gosh. I play Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have Rasheed Rice. He has Kyle Pitts. I have Isaiah Likely. He has Kyrene Williams. I have Raheem Mostert, who's questionable. He does have the Pittsburgh defense, which is the number 12 defense. I got the Miami defense, which is number 4. He's got Jason Myers, and I got Matt Gay, my boy Matt Gay. I don't know how I feel about this, boys. We'll see what happens. In my Cato Boys League, I'll be playing for 7th place. No need to even talk about that. And in my 6-man All-Star Family League, I will be playing for basically last place. I play for 5th place against my mom. There's only 6 people, though. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun last 2 weeks of the season. A lot can happen. I'm very much excited for it. And, yeah, a lot of football to be watched in the coming month. A lot of stuff to be talked about here on the Surprise Chat podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our NFL talk. I say let's get right into ranking every UFC Fight Night event in 2023. Of course, I mentioned UFC Fight Night events are just any event that's not a pay-per-view. Usually, so let's see, how many events did we have? I can't even recall. I remember someone said, was it 43? Did we have 43 events? I think it was, because let's see, there were 14 pay-per-views, 29 fight nights. So we had 43 events. Of those, 29 were fight nights. So we've got 29 to be ranked, 29 to be talked about. Let's get right into it. So before we begin, let me just clarify that ranking this was not easy at all. Ranking 29 fight nights. I did take a lot into account. I took into account if there was a crowd. A lot of Apex events are going to be listed low. Pretty much all but 2. I think there's only 2 events where there's a crowd that are not in the top 10. All right. There are only 12 with crowds, so that does say something. But yes, I also took into account the main card, how good a main card was, how good the main event was. A lot of stuff was taken into this, how many finishes, how many good moments, just stuff like that. So without a doubt, let's get into it with what I always say. It's probably just as big as the number 1, and that is what the number 29 is, what the worst UFC Fight Night of the year was. And for me, it was UFC Vegas 69, main evented by Jessica Andrade and Aaron Blanchfield, going down February 18th at the Apex in Las Vegas. There was not much to enjoy about this. So for starters, prelims, we can start off with 3 finishes. Nothing too thrilling. Clayton Carpenter submitting Juana Mancillo Ronderos, no idea who that is. AJ Fletcher submitting Themba Gorimbo. Then Felipe Lins blitzing Oven St. Preux and KOing him in 49 seconds. Nothing too exciting. Then Jamal Emmers would beat the undefeated Kusan Ashkabab in a boring 3-round fight where Kusan would just try and pull guard and Jamal would stand on the feet. Probably one of the best moments of the night was Myro Bueno Silva submitting Lena Landsberg with a knee bar, getting a performance bonus for it, but there wasn't much action in that besides the knee bar. Nazim Sadikov and Evan Elder giving us a fight of the night, though, which was stopped in round 3 due to a cut over Evan Elder's eye. I mean, it was a good fight, probably the highlight of the night. Alexander Hernandez would beat Jim Miller. Marcin Prachnio and William Knight would put on the worst fight of 2023, as William Knight would legit just stand there. He would legit just stand there against Marcin Prachnio. Totals from that fight, 79 total strikes to 8, same for significant. And by the way, 75% of those were to the leg. So it was pretty brutal. William Knight did nothing. Boring fight. Jamal Pogues on the main card would just grapple Josh Parzian, and then Zach Palga in the co-main event against Jordan Wright would hold him against the cage in the clinch for 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So boring. Main event was kind of decent. Aaron Blanchfield and Jessica Andrade went at it. Aaron Blanchfield winning by round 2 rear naked chokehold. But other than that, there was little to be enjoyed here at all. I mean, I'm talking just a lot of doozies of fights, just a lot of boredom. Just a lot of boredom is how I'll describe it. Number 28 is UFC Vegas 79, headlined by Rafael Fiziev and Matus Gamrot. This one hurts to put this low. This one really does, and it really hurts because Matus Gamrot and Rafael Fiziev was supposed to be such a good event. Not such a good event, such a good main event, and it just ended up not being that. I mean, we kicked off the prelims, 3 straight decisions, nothing too exciting. Then Cody Brundage would win a terrible DQ against Jacob Malkoun. Jacob Malkoun mauled him for 4 minutes before landing one elbow to the back of the head, and Cody Brundage said he couldn't continue. It was one of those John Jones, Matt Hamill situations, so pretty unfortunate there. One big moment on the prelims, though, was Tim Means beating Andre Fiallo in a fight of the night. Just an absolute war, those two throwing it down. That was a good moment. You then had Dan Argueta and Miles Johns having a no contest. Pretty unfortunate there. I think it was overturned due to drug issues. Main card starts off, Charles Jourdain gets a guillotine choke. I guess that was pretty cool. Brian Battle submitting AJ Fletcher, just kind of casual. Marina Rodriguez, though, beating Michelle Waterson Gomez by round 2 TKO. Absolutely bloody, absolutely brutal. That was a good moment. Co-main, though, Bryce Mitchell just out-grapples Dan Ige into oblivion. Nothing fun there. In the main event, after a decent round 1, Rafael Fiziev would tear his ACL, or maybe his Achilles or something. 2 minutes into round 2, leaving little to be desired for. I did go 5-0 on my predictions for this event, but it was so boring. So just nothing happened. Just absolutely nothing happened. It was kind of unfortunate and round out the card, but a couple good moments to point out. Number 27, we have UFC Vegas 71, Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blades. Now, this one actually wasn't too bad. There were some good moments, but there was also some L moments. So we kicked off. Brady Heisted lost the fight to Batirgil Tana. Wow, what an interesting name. After winning, after kind of being up 2 rounds, lost, got TKO in the 3rd. William Gomez would beat Francis Marshall, boring decision. Mohamed Usman would beat Junior Taffa in one of the most boring decisions of the year. Same thing with Normal Dumont, Carol Rosa. We did have a cool knockout from Montel Jackson over Renee Nyaha, then Christios Gagos over Ricky Glenn. So 2 cool round 1 knockouts. Then Jeremy Wills and Matthew Semmelsberger would have a competitive bout, but it was very odd. It was pretty much Jeremy Wills getting knocked down by Matthew Semmelsberger, then grappling him. Then Yasmin Lucindo would out-grapple Brogan Walker in a boring decision. Bobby Green and Jared Gordon would have their head clash where, they no contest, 4.5 minutes in. Now, we did end with 2 performance of the night round 1 knockouts. Bruno Silva beating Brad Tavares and Sergey Pavlovich beating Curtis Blades, which was kind of entertaining, but they weren't really highlight reels. It was kind of just punching, and knocked them down. Ref was like, that'll do it. So, little to be desired there, I will say. But, you know what? We've seen worse. If I were to go through and rank every single fight night I've seen, I'm sure not all of these would place too badly, but these ones did for me. Coming in at number 26, I have UFC Vegas 77, main evented by Holly Holmes and Mayra Bueno Silva. This fight started off with the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the first 8 fights, the first 6 were decisions. Out of the first 8, 7 were decisions. And I mean, absolutely terrible. Aileen Perez outgrapples Ashley Evans-Smith. Alexander Munoz casually just beats Carl Deaton. Azamat Maxum wins a close split decision over Tyson Nam. Evan Elder and Janelle Valdez, not too bad. Both man-landed knockdowns, but nothing to be desired. Melchor Acosta outgrapples Austin Lingo. Victoria Dudikova, 34 seconds in, gets a TKO after Estela Nunes gets injured. And then Tucker Lutz grapples Melsik Bagdasaryan and then gets beat up. Now, I will say, main card wasn't too bad. Nazim Sadiqov, after losing round 1, submits Terrence McKinney in round 2. Norma Dumont would put on an absolute doozy against Chelsea Chandler, which saw Chelsea Chandler sprint across the cage. That was a funny moment. Jung Young Park would just casually beat Albert Durov. Francisco Prado would have a crazy KO over Ottoman Azatir, though, earning a performance bonus. Jack Della Maddalena and Basile Hafez having a competitive fight at the night split decision. Decently good fight. And in the main event, Holly Holmes would be submitted by Mauro Bueno Silva in round 2 by a standing guillotine choke. Now, that fight was overturned because Mauro Bueno Silva failed a drug test. So, there's that. So, a couple of good finishes, good fight of the night, but a lot of decisions on the prelims. And also, was at the Apex, little to be desired. I want you to guess where we're heading for our next one. At number 25, we have UFC Vegas 81, Sodiq Yusuff versus Edson Barbosa. Another Apex event. This event is purposely here because I went 0-5 at this one. I went 0-5 on my predictions, so pretty brutal. We kick it off. Emily Ducote, casual win. Chris Gutierrez over Alatenge, casual win. Melissa Dixon over Arena Silva, casual win. Terrence McKinney beating Brendan Marat, though, in 20 seconds was pretty entertaining, but yeah, again, 20-second knockout. Tenero Lisboa, Ravina Oliveira, snoozer. Darren Elkins and TJ Brown grapple their way to a round 3 rear naked chokehold win for Darren Elkins. Christian Rodriguez would outgrapple Cameron Saman. Michelle Parra, though, KOing Andrei Petrovsky in a minute. Pretty entertaining. Jonathan Martinez beating Adrian Yanez by leg kicks. Brutal. Viviana Rojo beating Jennifer Maya in an absolute doozy of a co-main event. But the event was saved and places higher than the others due to Edson Barbosa and Sodiq Yusuff putting on one of the greatest Apex fights I've ever seen. A fight of the night. A comeback for Edson Barbosa. Absolutely amazing main event. Saving this just boring, casual Apex event. Next one up, though, 24. This one is one of my personal favorites because of how shockingly low it is. And that is UFC San Antonio. It went down on March 25th, 2023. Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen was the main event. And this was supposed to be Marlon Vera's final fight before getting a title shot. Little did we know, this would be one of the worst events of the year, and the only reason it places so high is because of the crowd, all right? And the crowd was not treated to very, very good fights. Kicked off the prelims, Victor Altamirano beats Vincia Salvador, casual event. Now, what was my comeback of the year nominee, or actually winner, on our award show here on the podcast? CJ Vergara beating Daniel Lacerda in a fight of the night, which ended in round 2 with a TKO win for CJ Vergara, was the highlight, the absolute highlight of this event. Absolutely amazing here. But after that, Trevin Giles beats Preston Parsons by decision. Lucas Alexander beats Stephen Pearson by decision. Stephen Pearson would then retire. We only had 3 finishes on this whole card. Daniel Pineda submitting Tucker Lutz got him a performance. Boring decision from Albert Dwarf and Chidi Nchukwu. Macy Barber, Andrea Lee. Controversial split decision. Nate Landwehr submitting Austin Lingo was pretty hype. And then Holly Holmes would beat Yana Santos in a boring grappling win in the co-main event. And the main event, Corey Sandhagen would grapple his way to a win over Marlon Vera and lose the final 2 rounds, or the final round at least. Actually, did he even lose? Did he even lose a round, actually? Now that I'm thinking about it. He won 1 round on a judge's scorecard, and then Joel Ojeda was clearly trying to rig this fight as he scored it for Marlon Vera, which made absolutely no sense. Looking back on the fight, the only round that Marlon Vera could have potentially won was 4 or 5. Just terrible stuff all around. It's a shame San Antonio was treated to this bad of an event. I will not lie. It was just boring. It was just boring. I remember watching this going like, is something else going to happen? Is this actually how we're going to round out this event? And yeah, so good comeback fight. 2 other finishes. The Knight Landwehr fight was fun, but other than that, just a doozy. Just an absolute doozy. Checking in at number 23, Michael Jordan's number, UFC Vegas 74, which went down on June 3rd. Main event was Kai Kara-France and Amir Albazi. This was the first flyweight main event since UFC 256 it was, when Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno main evented. It was the first time that flyweights had main evented a fight night since July of 2020. Whole card over herself. I mean, your typical Apex card. This was loaded with fights. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think there was 13 or 14 fights. Absolutely loaded. Kicking off, Felipe Lins, casual decision. Damon Blackshear getting a TKO over Lewin Lacerda. Elise Reed, Jing Frey putting on a boring fight. Muhammad Nayev, KOing Jamie Malarkey, though, earned himself a performance of the night. Good moment for him. John Constanta decision. Dontel Mays, KOing Andrei Arlovski with one punch KO for him. Daniel Santos beating Johnny Munoz. Elizio Lizaleski dos Santos beating Abu Gar by split decision. Main card, though. Creed Silva gets a interesting lock. It's listed as an other lock over Ketlin Souza. Interesting there. Tim Elliott beating Victor Altaramino. Jim Miller KOing Jesse Butler was pretty entertaining there. A 23-second KO, probably highlight of the night. Fight of the night between Alex Caceres and Daniel Pineda in a sloppy fight, and then a close split decision win for Amir Albazi over Kai Kara-France in the main event. Very disputed, though. Just your typical Apex card, some decent moments, some not so decent moments, but not too bad compared to some of the other ones that we have seen. And plus, I weigh where I was. I'm trying to remember where I was when I watched this. I think I was just at home in my basement, just casually watching it. Coming in at number 22, we have UFC Vegas 73, main evented by Mackenzie Dern and Angela Hill. And usually women's main events don't place high for me, but this one surprisingly did. It wasn't actually too bad. I think we only had 2 women's main events for fight nights the whole year. Actually, looking back on it, I think we had 3. And this was one of them. One of the latter ones. But we kicked off the night, Themba Gorimbo beating Takashi Soto. This was right after The Rock gave him a house, I'm pretty sure, so big stuff for him. Natalie Silva would get a round 1 KO of Victoria Leonardo, which was a pretty good moment. Chase Hooper beating Nick Fiore, moving up in weight. Rodrigo Nascimento Latifi, a sleeper. Gilbert Urbina KOing Orient Cossack with a head kick. That was a really good moment. Karolina Kowalski beating Vanessa Demopoulos. Vyacheslav Borshev knocking out Mahasha with a round 2 KO. Brutal performance win for him. Diego Ferreira KOing Michael Johnson. Good one-shot knockout for him, earning a performance bonus. Joaquin Buckley and Andre Fiallo going at it, and then with a Joaquin Buckley head kick KO. Lupe Godinez and Emily Dakota swinging for the fences. Edmund Shabazian would be sent packing from the UFC most likely as Anthony Hernandez dominated him. And then divorced Mackenzie Dern absolutely laid out all her frustration in life on Angela Hill in a fight of the night. Was a decently entertaining card. I think it was at my buddy's house. We were watching this before we went out for the evening. And I was like, let's turn on the TV. This is going to be great. And it wasn't too bad. But yet again, typical Apex card. That's kind of become the saying around here. But yeah, not too shabby. Checking in at number 21, just outside the top 20, we have UFC Vegas 68, which went down February 4th, 2023, at the Apex, of course, between Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak in the main event. And the whole reason that this lands at number 21 is because this had just a banger of some prelims. I mean, of the prelims, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finishes on the prelims. Absolutely amazing. We kick it off. Tatsuo Taira submits Jesus Aguilera with a round 1 triangle armbar, earning a performance of the night. Tatsuo Taira, my favorite Japanese fighter. Jun Young Park would then defeat Dennis Tululin with a rear naked chokehold in round 1. Hyung Sung Park would beat Sunguk Choi via a rear naked chokehold in round 3. This was the road to the UFC finals, of course. Then Rinya Nakamura would KO Toshomi Kazama in 33 seconds. A brutal KO for Rinya Nakamura. He's going to be a presence in the UFC. Close split decision in a women's fight up next between Jung Young Lee and Yizha. Anshul Jubli would then beat Jekka Saragai in a performance of the night. It's crazy how both those two went their separate ways. Then Adam Fujit would KO Yusaku Kinoshita in round number 1. Dooho Choi and Cal Nelson would fight to a draw on the main card. Marcin Tybura, Blagoy Ivanov in a boring fight. Devin Clark and Dawoon Jung, was kind of competitive, but not the most entertaining. And then Sergey Spivak would absolutely destroy Derek Lewis, take him down 6 times in 3 minutes to round out the card. The prelims are just kind of what I remember just because of how hyped they were, which is why it lands at 21 for me. But I'm sure if we were to go through and analyze these cards a bit more, it might place a bit lower. Let's get into our top 20 events, though, kicking off with our final fight night of the year. At number 20, UFC Vegas 83, headlined by Song Yedong and Chris Gutierrez. We kicked off the event, the debuting Talita Alan-Carr, beating Ryan Amanda. Tatsuro Taira still proving that he should be ranked. Give him a ranked opponent as he TKOs Carlos Hernandez in round number 2. Amazing stuff there. Back to boring decision from Luliana Santos and Stephanie Edgar. Steve Garcia TKO'd Melquizal Costa in round 2, bloody. Hyung Sung Park knocking out Shannon Ross in round number 2, brutal KO. Kevin Doucette, Sung Kinong, boring decision. Andre Muniz would grapple Jung Young Park to death. Tim Elliott proving he still belongs, submitting Sumadarji. Nazarek Hakpasrat getting a blitz KO over Jamie Blarkey. And Khalil Roundtree Jr. laying into Anthony Smith in a dominant round 3 knockout. And then I was at the bar for this event, for the main event, as Song Yedong would just casually beat Chris Gutierrez through 5 straight rounds. There just wasn't anything bad on here to put it lower. There were some good finishes, but nothing really left to be appetized here. The main event could have been better. I will say that. I will say this could have placed much higher if the main event was more entertaining, but it was just a casual 5-round event. Kicking off our number 19 is the first event of 2023, our first fight night of the year, UFC Vegas 67, headlined by Sean Strickland and Nasruddin Imavov, and this was a big one. First event of the year, and our first fight of the year was our first knockout of the year as Charles Johnson TKO Jimmy Flick in 4.5 minutes. Dan Argueta would then pick Nick Aguirre, and in only our third fight of the year, we would have our first submission of the year as Alan Nascimento would beat Carlos Hernandez. So pretty much the first card of the year, get your first TKO, get your first submission, good enough. Matus Rebecca would get a win over Nick Fiore, casual win. Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, KO and Claudio Ribeiro, pretty shocking there. Javid Bashrat staying undefeated with a win over Matus Mendonca. Umar Nurmagomedov putting an early KO of the Year nominee as he would beat Raoni Barcelos in 4 minutes into round 1. Hackwell Pennington would earn her title shot, oddly, that she's getting in January at UFC 297 with her win over Ketlin Vieira by split decision, her last win. Roman Kopilov would kick off his amazing 2023 with a round 2 knockout performance of the night, head kick of Punahele Soriano. Dan Ige would put Damon Jackson's lights out with a round 2 KO in the co-main event. And then Sean Strickland, on short notice, after literally losing, not but like 3 weeks ago to Jerry Cannonier, would outbox Nasruddin Imavov through 5 straight rounds to win. This would place a bit higher if the main event had been more entertaining. But other than that, this was a pretty good card to kick off the year, and I kind of expect the same thing from UFC Vegas 84 between Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, which goes down January 13th, 2024. That'll be our first event of the year. I do expect the same level of decent card to kick off the year. Coming in at number 18, we have UFC Vegas 80, headlined by Grant Dawson and Bobby Green, which went down October 7th at the UFC Apex. What's there to talk about here? We kick it off 3 boring decisions, 3 boring prelim decisions. Nate Manez would then KO Matus Mendonca in 4 minutes and 40 seconds, so earn himself a little performance bonus. Back-to-back boring decisions would then land finally with Drew Dober KOing Ricky Glenn with a 2.5-minute KO. Joki Buckley and Ox Barono engaging in a decent little battle themselves, pretty competitive. Joe Pyfer would then beat Abdulrazak Al-Hassan with a round 2 arm triangle. The odds on Joe Pyfer winning by submission were so high. Could have won a lot of money here. And then one of the biggest shockers, which is why it places so high, is Bobby Green KOing Grant Dawson in 33 seconds. And Grant Dawson had been on I think it was 18 or 17 fight win streak, maybe even 20 fight win streak, and Bobby Green KO'd him. Bobby Green hadn't even been ranked. Grant Dawson was the number 10 lightweight. A huge shocker. Put his lights out with just one punch. You love to see it. And I always like those. They're always shocking. They always just kind of catch you off guard, and you're just, oh my gosh, he's out. And that's just kind of how it went. Getting into number 17, UFC Vegas 72, headlined by Song Yadong and Ricky Simone. I actually watched this at my friend's house. I remember I was watching at the boys' house who I was go to in college, and it was decent. I mean, of the 5 main card fights, 4 were finishes, so can't really beat that. Kicked off with a boring women's fight decision. Marcus McGee on short notice would then submit Journey Newson in round number 2. Good moment then. Irina Alekseeva would win her debut against Stephanie Egger, a submission specialist herself, by submitting her in 2 minutes with a knee bar. Cody Durden would grapple Charles Johnson to death with 11 takedowns. Martin Buday would, at the time, remain undefeated against Jake Collier. Trey Waters on short notice would be undefeated Josh Quinlan. Good moment there. Marcos Rogero de Lima would kill the hype train of Waldo Cortez Acosta, grappling him to death. Then Fernando Padilla would KO Julian Erosa in 1:40. Shocking moment. I remember that. Rodolfo Vieira having a comeback fight. That was one of my, what was I going to say? Comeback of the year nominations. My goodness. As Rodolfo Vieira would come back and beat Cody Brundage with a round 2 arm triangle. Kyle Barallo would continue his ascent to the top. Still yet to be at the top, but continuing his rise with a performance of the night, rear naked chokehold of Michael Olkajacek. And then Song Yadong would put on a performance of the night when he knocked out Ricky Simone in round number 5. Showed true grit, showed excellent boxing. Song Yadong was an absolute stud in this one. And you know what? This is just another one of those fight nights where it's like right before you're about to go out for the evening. You know, you're kind of getting ready. And you know what? This did not disappoint at all. I very much enjoyed it. And it was crazy to see how a lot of these fighters ended the year. Kicking us off at number 16, UFC Vegas 70. Which went down February 25th, 2023. This fight was hit with some shocking news as the main event between Ryan Spann and Nikita Krylov was called off right as the card was starting, which was an absolute killer. I wondered how it would go. And surprisingly, the card did not disappoint too much. Kicked it off Nurulu Alev, who is from, I believe, Tajikistan or something, some country in Eastern Asia. And or just Europe or whatever, you know, by the Russian area, by beating Rafael Alves, a really good competitor, in a majority decision win, and they were showing his home crowd nation up cheering for him. Great moment there. Joe Selecki would then defeat Carl Deaton by rear naked chokehold. Ode Osborne and Charles Johnson having a competitive fight. Jordan Leavitt kneeing Victor Martinez to death in 2.5 minutes, earning himself a TKO performance of the night win. Jasmine Jasudavich win a unanimous decision. Trevor Peake KOing Eric Gonzalez with 1 second left in the round 1. Crazy moment there. Mike Mallet continuing his rise to the top, submitting Johan Lanes with a round 1 arm triangle. Tatiana Suarez making her 3-year return, submitting Montana De La Rosa in round 2. Augusto Sakai and Dante Mays would put on a doozy in the co-main event, but then Brendan Allen and Andre Muniz, which was not supposed to be the main event, stepped up, and Brendan Allen would submit Andre Muniz, who had 9 submissions at the time and was on like a 16-fight win streak. Brendan Allen's rise to the top would begin here. This was a fun one. And another one, I'm trying to think, was I at the boys' house for this? I at times cannot remember where I was for some of these. I think it was in my dorm, actually. I think I was at my dorm or somewhere. I was somewhere, but yeah. Number 15, getting into our top 15. Wow, we're cruising through the list. Not really, but you know what? We're having fun along the way. Number 15, UFC Vegas 78, headlined by Vicente Luque versus Rafael Dos Anjos, which went down August 12th, of course, at the Apex. That's what all the Vegas events are. A lot of fights on this card. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Kicked it off, though, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight finishes. Absolutely crazy. Luiana Santos would TKO Juliana Miller in round number 1. Damon Blackshear, who won my Submission of the Year nominee for this, would submit Jose Johnson with a twister in under 4 minutes, only the 3rd time in UFC history. This was historic. This was crazy. I love this. Jacqueline Olmimram would then win her debut over Montezera Canijo Ruiz by TKOing her in round number 3 in a dominant lopsided win. 86 significant strikes to 6, 4 submission attempts. Crazy. Martin Buday would then submit Josh Parzian with a Kimura in round 1. Isaac Dalgarian would win his debut over Francis Marshall, TKOing him in round number 1. Terrence McKinney would destroy Mike Breeden, TKOing him in a minute 25. And Marcus McGee would knock out JP Buys, earning him a performance bonus in 2 minutes and 19 seconds. We were then traded to back-to-back doozies and Josh Fremd beating Jamie Pickett and AJ Dobson beating Tafan and Chukwe. But then Yasmin Lucindo would earn a performance at night, submitting Poliana Viana in round number 2, and then Khalil Roundtree Jr. Oh my gosh, sending Chris Dawkins to the shadow realm with a 2 minute and 40-second KO. Absolutely brutal. Cub Swanson would then beat Hakeem Dawodo in a very bad unanimous decision, one of the worst of the year, probably the biggest robbery of the year, honestly. And then Vicente Luque would return after a year from actually having a brain bleed. I don't know how he's allowed to fight again, and he would beat Rafael dos Anjos. Not the most entertaining main event, but those prelims absolutely won this card. And Khalil Roundtree Jr. just being an absolute menace is what ended up making or breaking this as my number 15 event of the year, for fight nights at least. At number 14, we have UFC Vegas 75. Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier was the main event, and it went down June 17th. Kicked off the card with a fun one between Modestas Bukauskas and Zach Palga. Modestas Bukauskas having a good return this year, earning a second win of the year. I mean, as I'm remembering, not the most entertaining fight, but still pretty good. Dan Argueta would then beat Ronnie Lawrence, but I believe that was overturned. I believe Dan Argueta had all his fights overturned. What the heck? Dan Argueta had both his wins in 2023 overturned for some reason. That is very suspicious. Teresa Beta and Carlos Hernandez winning boring decisions. Kyung Ho Kang earning a good rear naked chokehold win. There's that. Alessandro Costa TKO and Jimmy Flick, good moment for him. Nicholas Dalbe beating Muslim Slikov. Manuel Torres KOing Nicholas Mota, a minute and 50 seconds in round 1 with an elbow, brutal. Pat Sabatini bouncing back after a loss, submitting Lucas Almeida. Armin Petrosian beating Christian Leroy Duncan was alright. Armin Tazukrian, we got to see Armin Tazukrian fight as he obliterated Joaquim Silva. I actually had one moment in round 2 when he got caught with a punch, and then the main event, the whole reason this placed so high, was Jared Cannonier setting the middleweight record for significant strikes with 241 significant strikes against Marvin Vettori, who landed 153. This was a brutal fight of the night, an absolute war. These two swaying for the fences. Sometimes we thought Marvin was out of it. Then we thought Jared was. This was a great main event, and it absolutely saved this decent card overall. Just that's what a main event can do for a card. Checking in at number 13, we finally get a live event, and it was UFC London, which went down July 22nd in the United Kingdom, in England, as it was main evented by Tom Aspinall and Marcin Tybura. And sadly, kind of similar to, I'd say, San Antonio's, this was just not that entertaining of a card. I mean, compared to other London cards, not as good. I mean, we did kick it off with a crazy comeback of the years. Rafael Filo would get dropped by Daniel Perez and then somehow fight his way back to land a takedown, submit him with an arm triangle 3.5 minutes into round 1. Pretty crazy stuff there. So that was a cool moment. But then, oh my goodness, our next 5 fights would be decisions. I mean, on this, 14 fight card, there were only 6 finishes. So 8 decisions on here is not what you look for in a fight card. Bruno Brazil would then beat the debuting Shauna Bannon, killing a hype train there. Chris Duncan would remain undefeated. Actually, no. Would Chris Duncan remain undefeated? I spoke too soon. No, he had lost his debut, but he would win his UFC debut here. I know his second fight of the year. Wow, Chris Duncan winning that. Kevin Vieira winning a boring decision over Pan Kianzad. Makhmud Muradov and Brian Barberita putting on a wild fight. Oh my goodness. Makhmud Muradov, 2 knockdowns, 54 significant strikes, 13 takedowns. That was a wild fight. Mick Parkin, boring decision over Jamal Pogues. Joel Alvarez, Darce choking, Mark Diakise. Johnny Parsons putting on a striking TKO win over Danny Roberts in a fight of the night. That was entertaining. Daniel Marcos winning a controversial split decision over Davey Grant, one of the robberies of the year. Leron Murphy handling Josh Kuliabo very well, earning that. Ferziam win over Jai Herbert. Paul Craig winning his middleweight debut against Andre Muniz. Crazy win for him, very impressive. Nathaniel Wood and Andre Feely having themselves a close battle. Then one of the biggest betting upsets of the year as Julia Storyalenko submitted Molly McCann in under 2 minutes with an armbar. Molly McCann's hype train obliterated in this one. But then the main event, which saved this whole card, which kicked off my comeback fighter of the year, Tom Aspinall KO's Marcin Tybura in 1 minute and 13 seconds. It was absolutely crazy. He dropped it with the one-punch KO, followed up with some punches. It absolutely saved this whole event. The crowd went crazy. Absolutely love this. It lands at number 13 on our list. This was a blast. This was an absolute blast. The main event, at least. The rest of the card, not too much. I remember I was in an art gallery and I actually was like trying to resist looking at the fight and looking at the art, and I was kind of weighing what to do, but I was able to catch the main event, so it ended up working out already for me. Coming in at number 12 on our list, UFC Vegas 76, Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. And of course, this was our first event we ever covered on the podcast. Kicked it off, Alexander Romanov beating Blagoy Ivanov. A little bounce back fight for Alexander after losing his first fight earlier in the year. Lumiak Carolina winning a casual decision. Elvis Brenner pulling off one of the craziest comebacks of the year, a fight of the night on this card against Guram Kudladze. A crazy moment here, earning a round 3 knockout punch. I mean, that was an amazing fight. Carol Rosa beating Anna Santos by split decision, kind of boring. Johanderson Brito TKOing Weston Wilson in under 3 minutes. Brutal. Renat Fakhretdinov running through Kevin Lee, retiring Kevin Lee in 55 seconds was brutal. Nursultan Ruzaboev KOing Bruno Farrell. I mean, oh my gosh, so brutal. The rise of Benoit Saint Denis continued here as he submitted Ishmael Bonfim in round number 1. We did have some doozies. Ariane Lipsky, Melissa Gatto decision, Michael Morales, Max Griffin decision, Grant Dawson, Demiros Magulov decision, but that was all redeemed with our main event as Sean Strickland, after dropping round 1 brutally, came back in round number 2, beat a gassed out Abus Magomedov, TKOing him in round number 2. It was fun. It was good time. And you know what? I just remember some of the moments from this card. That's kind of why it lands here for me. And it wasn't too bad after all. We had some finishes. Of course, on most of these Apex cards, you're going to have some doozies of some fights, a lot of decisions. But this one was not too bad. That's why it lands at number 12 on our list. And clocking in at number 11, just outside the top 10, is UFC Vegas 82, which was headlined, for real this time, by Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. This was went down November 18th, a pretty recent one, and honestly, this was a very, very fun card. I mean, we kicked it off. Rafael Estevam wins his UFC debut over Charles Johnson. Did have a bit of a doozy when Trey Ogden was destroying Nicholas Mota. Then the referee stopped it early when he thought Nicholas Mota was out cold from being submitted, but he wasn't. Doozy there. Alan Perez wins a boring decision. Then Jekka Saragai KOs Lucas Alexander in 1.5 minutes. I mean, this was a brutal KO. Absolutely loved it, and I knew he would win. He was an underdog in this fight, and I just knew he was going to win. Mick Parkin would pick up a win. Heavyweight win. Pretty boring decision. Christian Leroy Duncan would get his first UFC finish, finishing Dennis Tululin in round number 2. Good win for him. Jose Johnson getting a round 3 rear naked chokehold over Chad Allen Hellinger. Pretty good moment there. Anderson Brito then guillotine choking Jonathan Pierce would earn a performance bonus in a very competitive fight. Maytabek Oral Bai would then beat Euros Medic by neck crank. Crazy upset. Keep your eyes out for Oral Bai in the welterweight division. I don't even know what nation he's from. He's from some country. Manda Hebus would then have a crazy finish of Luiana Pinheiro. It earned a performance bonus, a 3-round battle resulting in just under a minute left, or just over a minute left, her getting the TKO victory. Peyton Talbot would then drop 2 rounds to Nick Aguirre before coming back in round 3 and submitting him under a minute into the final round. Chase Hooper would win his second lightweight fight of the year with a shocking 3-minute submission of Jordan Leavitt. No one saw that coming. Michael Morales would pick up a casual victory over Jake Matthews. Then Brendan Allen would just outclass Paul Craig through 3 rounds, submitting him 38 seconds into round number 3, earning him a performance bonus and shooting him into the top 10 at middleweight. This was a fun card. I think I watched this before I went out for the bars for the night. So this was a little fun event to watch to myself. We're now getting into the top 10. And by the way, all 10 events were in front of a live audience. Kicking us off at number 10, August 5th, 2023, we had a fight night headlined in Nashville, Tennessee by Corey Sandhagen and Rob Font. It was supposed to be Corey Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar pulled out, Rob Font stepped in, which everyone thought was going to make this fight better. we'll see how it turned out. Kicked off the night with the debuting undefeated Asu Almabayev beating Ode Osborne by rear naked chokehold. Great way to get the night started. Then Sean Woodson, boring decision win. Cody Durden, boring decision win. Billy Corntillo, boring decision win. Carlson Harris would then have a crazy round 3 comeback and a Conda choke over Jeremiah Wells, earning him a performance bonus. Kyler Phillips would outclass Raoni Barcelos to a decision win. Ludwig Klein beating Ignacio to a decision win. Bahamadez, that was. Tanner Bozer and Alexa Kamur put on just an abysmal fight between the both. Diego Lopez would then get the night going. The night was really got going with Diego Lopez getting a round 1, a minute and 38-second triangle armbar over Gavin Tucker. It was just lightning, and Diego Lopez is the future. Dustin Jacoby would then shock everyone with a quick minute 22-second knockout of Kennedy Nchukwu. This was a big win for Dustin Jacoby. Tatiana Suarez would then get a performance of the night, performance bonus. A guillotine choke in round number 2 over Jessica Andrade, cementing herself as next in line for the women's strawweight championship, or maybe second in line. We'll see. And then we got to the main event, and Corey Sandhagen would outgrapple Rob Font for 5 straight rounds, for a total of 19 minutes and 38 seconds of control time, going 7 for 7 on takedowns in one of the worst main events of the year. Absolutely killing any momentum this card had. It was a shame to see. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't even know where it went wrong. Just Corey Sandhagen decided to just grapple his way against Rob Font. Never even gave him a puncher's chance. Just tough. Just tough all around, because it was supposed to be just a banger of a card. It was going pretty good. We had 3 straight good finishes, and then you have whatever that was. Just a shame. Coming in, number 9, November 4th, 2023, UFC Fight Night, headlined by Halton Almeida and Derek Lewis in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And you know what? It was, the only reason it lands higher than Nashville is because the crowd was much more enthusiastic here with the Brazilian fighters. Kicked off the night, Mark Diakise winning a split decision over Cal Fernandez. Nothing much there. Eduardo Mora would then defeat Montezero Canijo, though, with a round 2 TKO. Kind of boring, but is what it is. Angel Hill would then upset Denise Gomez. We're getting a big win. Vitor Petrina would then send Modestas Bukakis' lights out with a round 2 knockout punch. Renat Fakrdinov and Elizio Zaleski dos Santos will then compete in a very close majority decision draw. Might have to run that one back. Then Elvis Brenner would get the main card going with a round 1 knockout punch. Oh my gosh, sent Caden Kruwishki to the floor flat. Absolutely entertaining. Kyle Barella would then just outclass Albus Magomedov through 3 rounds, clearly winning a decision. Rodrigo Nascimento and Dontel Mays would have a 3-round boring decision. Then Nicholas Dalby would pull off one of the biggest upsets of the year, beating the undefeated Gabriel Bonfim, who is Brazilian in Brazil, with a round 2, kind of a comeback TKO in round number 2. I mean, good win for Dalby. Got a big fight poised for him in 2024 with this win, and a shocking loss by Gabriel Bonfim. And then very similar to the Nashville event. I mean, just any momentum that the event had was killed in the main event when Halton Almeida outgrappled Derek Lewis through 5 straight rounds for a total of 21 minutes and 10 seconds control time, actually setting the heavyweight record for most control time in a fight. So boring, so just draining. It just drained any life out of this event. It was just boring. I turned it off. I was at the bar, and I'm like, okay, I give up on this. I was in the middle of a dance pit, and I had it on my phone, and I was like, I can't with this. I can't even give it any more effort. It was so boring. It killed the vibe, but you know what? The Brazilian fans really do make the event super good. I'm excited for us to go back to Brazil sometime in 2024. Checking in at number 8 was UFC Las Vegas. Not any of the UFC Vegases. This one went down in Las Vegas at the Virgin something hotels. It was held at like an auditorium in like a hotel, just in Las Vegas. So not one of the Apex events. This one actually had a live crowd. Headlined by Piotr Jan and Merab Dvalishvili. This one was action-packed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights. Kicked off the evening, Carlston Harris wins a boring decision over Jared Gooden. Bruno Silva would then get a rear naked chokehold over Tyson Nam in the flyweight division, winning his his UFC debut. Ariana Lipski, Victor Henry would then get back-to-back decision wins in their bouts. For Josh Friend would submit Cedricus Dumas with a guillotine choke in round number 2. Davey Grant would then throw himself into the Submission of the Year category when he submitted Rafael Sanseao, earning himself a Performance of the Night with a inverted triangle in round number 3. Very hard submission to pull off. Good win for Davey Grant. Carl Williams would then beat Lucas Brzezic. Vitor Petrino and Anton Tergalic would have one of the weirdest fight nights of the year, which I had missed. They were grappling, they were striking all over the place. Mario Batista would then submit Guido Canetti in round number 1. Pretty cool there. Jonathan Martinez would then win a unanimous decision over Said Nurmagomedov in a fight a lot of people thought Said had won, so that was kind of controversial. Nikita Krylov would then submit Ryan Spann in round 1 with a triangle choke in a hectic 3 minutes and 38 seconds. These two just went all at it. Co-main event, Alexander Volkov would TKO Alexander Romanov in 2 minutes and 16 seconds, just laid 12 hard punches into him, and that was that. And the main event, similar to the last two, but the only reason that it ranks this high is because of the pace Merab Dvalishvili put up. He outgrapples Petr Yan into oblivion by attempting 49 takedowns, landing 11 of them. This was Merab Dvalishvili's big, however you want to say, coming out party, showing up party, just showing that he is as legit as he says he is. I remember I was actually at a casino watching this on my phone. I was losing money. I was bored by this decision. But at the same time, I did feel very happy for Merab Dvalishvili. That's why it lands at number 7. Oh, number 8. Number 7 is actually UFC Charlotte, which went down May 13th in Charlotte, North Carolina, headlined by Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Halton Almeida. And I was actually at prom with my girlfriend, being a good boyfriend, attending it, even though I'm 2 years older than her. And I was just watching this on my phone the whole time, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Kicked it off with Tainara Lisboa winning her UFC debut, submitting Jessica Rose Clark in round number 3. Brian Battle would then have one of the craziest 14-second KOs I've ever seen, sending Gabe Green out cold. 14 seconds in, as I mentioned. Manny Bowman and Ji-Young Kim would put on one of the worst fights of the year. Manny Bowman winning a split decision. I think they cut both women after this. Douglas Silva de Andrade would then win a very debated decision over Cody Stamann. Carl Williams would beat Chase Sherman, and then Matt Brown would get a crazy KO to add to his repertoire, KOing Court McGee in round number 1, sending him to the canvas flat. Alex Morono would then submit Tim Means in round number 2. Good guillotine choke for him. Carlos Ulberg would absolutely run through Io Patura, earning himself a performance bonus with his 2-minute KO of him. Ian Gary would then finally become a star, beating Daniel Rodriguez in round number 1 with a head kick KO. Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith would engage in a co-main event, which was decent. Featured Anthony Smith going, "You're attacking my kids," and Johnny Walker going, "What are you talking about?" as he was just trying to psych himself up. And then, unlike the Derek Lewis fight, Halton Almeida would run through Jairzinho Rozenstruik, submitting him in 3 minutes and 43 seconds. The crowd was fun here. There were some good knockouts, and thankfully Halton Almeida was able to submit Jairzinho quick and not drag it out for frickin' 5 whole rounds. Oh my gosh, just drained the life out of a building. And Charlotte, I hope we come back to you. Checking in at number 6, just outside the top 5, is UFC Kansas City. Kansas City, Missouri is where this was held, April 15th, headlined by Max Holloway and Arnold Allen. And the prelims were pretty fun on here. I mean, we kick it off, 2 boring ones. I mean, Josine Edwards winning a unanimous decision, Gaston Bolanos winning a unanimous decision. But then Denise Gomez would TKO Bruna Brazil in round number 2. Good win for her. Daniel Zaluber would beat Lando Venata in a unanimous decision win. Then Jillian Robertson would earn a performance of the night, which I think was setting the women's armbar record against Piera Rodriguez, submitting her in round number 2 with an armbar. Zach Cummings would then have an absolute war against Ed Herman. A round 3 TKO for Zach Cummings in this one. Honestly, an amazing fight. Could have won fight of the night, but both men actually were given performance bonuses for this, I'm pretty sure, as they both retired after the fight. A really fun moment. I really enjoyed that fight. Brandon Royval would then KO Matthias Nakalu. This fight should never have been on the prelims, with a 2-minute knee stunning. Matthias Nakalu just got caught, dropped down, and you were like, oh my gosh, just got hit with a knee. Bill Algeo and TJ Brown would then have a fight of the night in a fight which only lasted 1:40 in round number 2 before Bill got a submission win, rear naked chokehold over TJ Brown, but it was an absolute war. Rafa Garcia would bloody up Clay Guida's face to kick off the main card. Pedro Munoz would outclass Chris Gutierrez. Ion Kudalaba would run through Tanner Bozer, TKOing him in 2 minutes. Azamat Mirzakov and Dustin Jacoby would have a good fight. Edson Barbosa would knock out Billy Quarantillo with a nasty knee, putting him out cold 2.5 minutes in round number 1. And then Max Holloway and Arnold Allen would go at it. I mean, it was competitive. It was a very, very, I wouldn't say it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best main event of the year. But, I mean, Arnold Allen showed up, performed better than I think a lot of people thought he would. Gave Max Holloway a run for his money at times. But at the end of the day, typical Max Holloway performance, doing what he does best. This was a blast. And now we get into the top 5. And the top 5 was some were tough. The 3 to 5 range is kind of where I was debating on where to put stuff, but I kind of assessed where I was for these events, how I felt watching these events, and that is why each one lands where it does. Coming in at number 5, one event that I think was Dana White's favorite of the year was UFC Noche, going down in Las Vegas, Nevada. I think it was at the T-Mobile Center. This went down September 16th, headlined by Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko rematching for the Women's Flyweight Championship. This was on Mexican Independence Day, which is why it was called UFC Noche. Dana White said they'll do this event again next year at the Sphere in Las Vegas, giant Sphere Stadium. Absolutely crazy. This was a fun one to kick off the night. Josephine Knutson has an intense debut, destroys Martin McMahon, 81 significant strikes to 8. Crazy debut for Josephine Knutson. We kicked that off to get off the card. Then Charlie Campbell would start off our finishes of the night with a round 1 TKO of Alex Reyes, a dominating win for Charlie Campbell. Tracy Cortez would then get a big win over Jasmine Josu Davis. We would take a hit where Edgar Chairez would have a standing guillotine choke locked in on Daniel Lacerda, and Lacerda just looked like out of it. He looked like he was just limp, so the ref stopped it, and it turned out Lacerda had just been standing like that. In the guillotine choke, he looked limp, like the ref touched his arm and it didn't even move, and then he released it and he's fine. It was an awkward scenario. But Roman Kopilov will get us going again with a round 2 knockout and himself a performance bonus. Lupi Godinez would submit Elise Reed with a rear naked chokehold, absolutely destroying Elise Reed. A knockdown, 21 significant strikes to 3 and 5 takedowns and 6 submission attempts, all in 8 minutes and 38 seconds. Wow, incredible. Cal Nelson, Fernando Padilla put on kind of a doozy. Daniel Zellhuber, to kick off the main card, that was just a typical decision win for Cal Nelson. Daniel Zellhuber would then submit Christos Giagos with an anaconda choke. Good win for him. Raul Rosas Jr. would have kind of his comeback of the year. I mean, he started off the year good, then kind of lost, but then right here getting a 54-second TKO of Terrence Mitchell, earned himself a performance of the night. Jack Del Matt and Kevin Holland would then sadly have a technical fight in the co-main event. Kevin Holland would outstrike Jack Del Matt but lose the split decision, very debated. Then, of course, the championship main event between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, ending in a decision, but it was entertaining. It was a competitive, good fight. That's why it lands at number 5. Now, the Mexican fans here, I mean, they were just so fun. And it was in Las Vegas, you know. They showed up, they showed out, and honestly, they made this event so fun. And when you get into it, get into like the Mexican Independence Day spirit, it makes it even more fun. UFC Noche, number 5. Coming and clocking in at number 4 is UFC Fight Night, Josh Emmett versus Io Topira in Jacksonville, Florida, which happened June 24th, 2023. It was a pretty good event, and despite that, it started off with 5 straight decisions. Oh my gosh, and even out of the first 8 fights, 7 decisions, but the main card absolutely redeemed this fight with some of the fights. First off, we start off Cedric Dumas, Cody Brundage, putting on one of the worst fights I've ever seen. Jack Jenkins and Jamal Emmers will compete in a competitive fight. Chepe Mariscal, though, and Trevor Peek should have won fight of the night on this. I mean, if you want to watch an underrated fight, Chepe Mariscal versus Trevor Peek, third fight on the prelims. This was an absolute war. It was Chepe's debut. I thought both of them were going out at some times. This was entertaining. Joshua Van would then step up in the next fight and beat Zalagas Dumalagov on short notice. Joshua Van was only 20 or 21 years old. Incredible stuff from him. Tabitha Ritchie would then beat Jillian Robertson, bumping her up more in the rankings. Matus Rebeke would then get a round 2 knockout of Loic Radzhabov. I mean, crazy win for him. I don't even think I pronounced Loic's last name right. Randy Brown would then beat Wellington Turman in a technical bout. Neil Magny and Phil Rowe would put on a terrible fight, so boring. But then we get the main card going with Brendan Allen submitting Bruno Silva in round number 1. He would drop him with a punch, take his back, and submit him. Brendan Allen's rise in 2023 should be analyzed because it was beautiful. Then David Onama, Gabriel Santos. Oh my goodness, what a fight. David Onama knocking Gabriel Santos out cold, hits him with a punch, and Gabriel Santos falls flat down in the shadow realm, earns $50K for David Onama. Beautiful. Hit another doozy when Austin Lane eye-poked Justin Tafa 29 seconds into their bout, sadly ending it shortly. Tough L there, but we got it going right after that in the co-main event, because it was Maycee Barber versus Amanda Ribas in the co-main event, but honestly, it wasn't that bad of a fight. It actually turned out pretty good. Maycee Barber would end up winning in round number 2 with a bloody TKO over Ribas. I mean, it was just brutal. She was hitting her with elbows, and she was bleeding everywhere, and the ref was like, you know what? Stop this nonsense. A crazy good performance from Maycee Barber. And then to cap off the night, we get a fight of the night as Ilia Topuria has his breakout performance, destroying Josh Emmett through 5 straight rounds. I mean, a knockdown over him in the final round. 152 significant strikes to 87. Landed 3 takedowns. Anywhere this fight went, Ilia Topuria was on lock. He was not letting anyone get the better of him. I mean, tough L for Josh Emmett. He was bloody, he was beaten, but it was so entertaining. And UFC Jacksonville ended with a bang, and did have some bangs along the way. I liked it. Clocking in at number 3, our number 3 UFC Fight Night event of the year was UFC Paris, which went down September 2nd in Paris, France, Ile-de-France. I don't even know what that means. It must be the province is what it is. Headlined by Cyril Gane and Sergey Spivak. Kicked off the night with a Jacquel Cavalcante beating Zara Fairn by decision, nothing much there. Farid Basharat would submit Cledson Rodriguez in round number 1, though, improving to a perfect, what is Farid? A perfect 11-0. Good win for Farid. 2 decisions, 3 decisions after that, so nothing too entertaining. I will say Taylor Lapaloo's winning from, he was from Paris. The crowd was going crazy for that. But then, as we get into the main card, oh my goodness, this main card was on fire. Kicking it off, Morgan Charrier beats Manolo Zaccini, oh my gosh, with a round 1 leg kicks. I mean, performance of the night to Morgan Charrier, laid into him. He was from France, the crowd was roaring, he was on the mic, absolutely banger right there. William Gomez would then beat fellow Frenchman, Yanis Gamori, hitting him with a body kick in round number 3, which stopped the fight, actually. Yanis acted like it was to his groin, but it was actually to the gut. It was very close, but William had been winning the fight. He is from France. The crowd was going crazy. They loved it. Then, one of the craziest betting things of the year, Volkan Ozdemir, who had never submitted someone before, submits debuting fighter Bogdan Guskov with a rear naked chokehold in round number 1. Crowd was going crazy. Bettors, I mean, you would have made so much money if you'd have bet Volkan to win by submission. Following that up, our fight of the night, Benoit Saint-Denis, the Frenchman from Paris, France, destroyed Thiago Moises, a round 2 TKO. 101 significant strikes to 24, 5 takedowns for him, just obliterated Thiago Moises. Thiago did have some moment, he threw up a submission, but it was too late. Then, the co-main event, Manon Fiorot beats Rose Namajunas to finally move into the top of the flyweight division. She was from France. They were going crazy. It was a good moment. And the card had been moving along pretty nicely. The French fighters had been doing good. Only 2 had lost so far. And one of them had been fighting a fellow Frenchman. And then Cyril Gane, who had lost to John Jones brutally in March, was coming back to look for his redemption. He was taking on Sergey Spivak, who had been on a little 4-fight win streak, and it was all, you know what, it was up in the air. What was going to happen to Cyril Gane? Could he rebound in front of his Paris crowd? And there's just something about Cyril Gane in Paris, France, his home country, his home nation, that gets him going. He obliterates, just runs through Sergey Spivak. Round 2 TKO. Totals from the fight, 109 significant strikes to 11, defended any form of takedown Sergey Spivak threw at him, laid into him. Eventually the ref was like, this is done for, and Cyril Gane caps off the night with a beautiful TKO win. I mean, this was just amazing. The crowd was going nuts, and that's what I think really landed this at number 3 for me, is how good the crowd was for this event. Good moments for the French fighters, and it lands at number 3. And honestly, the 2022 Paris event would probably land much higher for me too if I were to do a ranking of the 2022 events, just because of how good that crowd is. All right, we have 2 events left. for the year. 2 events left for the year, and landing in at number 2, our number 2 UFC Fight Night of the year went down in August 26th in Kallang, Singapore. UFC Singapore, headlined by Max Holloway and the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung. An absolutely amazing fight. This whole card was beautiful. Kicking it off, Sung Woo Choi finally getting a win over Jarno Aarons. Had been a while for him. Then JJ Aldridge, who had never had a finish before the UFC, TKO's Liang Na. Good win for her. Then Billy Goff getting a nasty knockout of Yusaku Kinoshita. Good win for him. Song Kidong would then get a win on home turf against Rolando Bedoya. Michael Olika Jacet would get performance of the night. Round 1 TKO over Chidi and Chukwani. Garrett Armfield would TKO Toshami Kazami. And Waldo Cortez Acosta would get a round 1 knockout of Lucas Brzezinski. I mean, this was just absolutely insane. We go into the main card, and Junior Tafa, younger brother of Justin Tafa, knocks out Parker Porter in round number 1. I mean, the finishes were ridiculous. We had 4 round 1 TKOs in a row. And oddly enough, we had 2 round 1 TKOs that both ended at the 4-minute and 16-second mark. Some very, very weird numbers just throughout the year, and that was one of them. Getting in the main card, Aaron Blanchfield wins a competitive fight against Talia Santos. Rinya Nakamura just obliterates Fern Garcia. Giga Chikadze and Ox Caceres have a close fight. Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann have a very close fight, debatable split decision. And then what made this event so amazing? The prelims were amazing on this, but this main event, Max Holloway, Chan Sung Jung. It was the Korean Zombie's final fight of his career. And as he's walking out, the crowd is singing his theme song. Zombie, 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 what's in your head? In your head, zombie, 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 and oh my gosh, it was getting me all hyped, all right? And the fight did not disappoint, all right? Just Max Holloway was obviously landed big shots on Chan Sung Jung. He would not go out, and then Chan Sung Jung would land one, and it was actually sting Max Holloway. And there was one moment in round number 2 where Max dropped Chan Sung Jung, didn't land up any follow punches, let him get up, and then Chan Sung Jung landed a big punch of his own. And then as it got to round 3, you could tell the Korean Zombie, he was just out of it. And he said, you know what? One last stand, one last chance for glory. And he blitzes Max Holloway to start the 3rd round. He's swinging. He was connected with Max. Max was connected with him. And 29 seconds into round number 3, Max lands a beautiful punch, knocks Chan Sung Jung down, gets the round 3 KO win to cap it off. But he was all humble. He was all respect. And then as Chan Sung Jung left the octagon, the crowd sang even louder his zombie theme song, and it was just a perfect way to end his career. Just an incredible send-off, and the crowd was just amazing. I absolutely love this main event, and the whole fight overall. I mean, it happened in the morning. I was able to go about the rest of my day after this. It was a very, very good time. I very much enjoyed this one. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our final event of the year. Our number 1 ranked UFC Fight Night main event of the year. Not main event, event of the year. Gosh, I'm stumbling over my words. And guess what it is? I mean, it was amazing. You just can't get much better than this. UFC Fight Night, Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan went down December 2nd, 2023 in Austin, Texas. UFC Austin, the number 1 fight night of the year. This was absolutely amazing. Kicked off the night with a boring one, all right? Typical women's flyweight event, nothing going on, all right? But you need a little bit of boring to get into the heat. Kicking us off, Jared Gooden, a little comeback rear naked chokehold round 2 win over Wellington Turman after having previously been down in the first round. Then, following that up, Rodolfo Bellato has a fight of the night comeback KO over Ior Patera after being almost knocked out in round number 1. Absolutely crazy. Then, if you want to think about crazy, Drakkar Klose slam KO over Joe Selecki in round number 1. Absolutely crazy, all right? You want to follow that up? Cody Brundage gets a slam KO win after that over undefeated Zach Reese. It was absolutely crazy. Back-to-back slam KOs. That has never happened and probably will never happen again. Then Miesha Tate came to fight, beats Julia Avila, submitting her in round number 3. And by the way, every finish on this card earned a $50,000 performance bonus. Absolutely amazing. If you think that's good, we round out the prelims with Dustin Stolfus submitting Punahele Soriano in round number 2. Absolutely crazy. Joaquim Silva, Clay Guida, all right, kind of boring, kind of back and forth. But then Sean Brady takes Calvin Gastelum to wrestling school, absolutely destroys him, kind of boring, submits him with the Kimura in round number 3. Then, following that, Davison Figueiredo would get a big win in his bantamweight debut over Rob Font. Very good for Figueiredo. Welcome to the new weight class. But then we round out the event with 2 crazy KOs. Jalen Turner, stepping out of short notice to fight Bobby Green, knocks him out silly in round number 1. Oh my gosh, knocked him out cold, landed follow-up punches. He was out on the ground. He kept pounding. The ref wouldn't stop it. Everyone was yelling, stop the fight, stop the fight. But oh my goodness, Jalen Turner, just an absolute dog. Oh my goodness. And we're like, okay. Just had a crazy quick finish KO. Don't know what's going to happen after this. And guess what? Arman Tazukrian knocks out Badil Dariush in 1 minute and 4 seconds with a beautiful punch to cap off the night. I mean, so many finishes. The crowd was roaring. I was watching with my boys. It was crazy. I loved this event. Actually, I don't think I watched it. I watched this at home because I was at my boys' house before they went to their hockey game. And I came back because I was going to go to bars with my buddy. And I was like, okay, I'll just watch this event. And I was in my room going crazy. This was absolutely amazing. This was so hype. It don't get much better than this. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So entertaining. Just UFC Austin, one of the best fight nights. One of the better events that I've watched in my career of watching the UFC. And yes, that caps off our list. UFC Austin, the best UFC fight night of the event of the year. Very much enjoyed this one. And that's all I got, folks. That's all I got for the podcast. I noticed we're running almost at the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to wrap this up here so we can get the free upload on YouTube so I don't have to go through it. Upload it again through a different site. So thank you all for listening. Hit me up, Zach_Ruger on Snapchat, Zach Ruger on Instagram, ZTR 2002 on Verdict MMA. You know I'm all the socials, guys. I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast. Thank you, folks. Have a good one.